You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2632, Chapter 2632, Chapter 563, The Pugilistic World is My Legend L. Chapter 2632, Chapter 563, The Pugilistic World is My Legend L. Divine Marquis Mansion. At this moment, many people were looking at the sky, looking at the nine-leafed sky lotus phantom that was about to bloom. Besides Su Yu, old Hao looked for a while and said with a sigh, "So beautiful." Beautiful? It might not necessarily be beautiful, but with the enhancement of the Tao convergence attribute, it was truly beautiful beyond imagination. In the large courtyard, the Celestials walked out one by one from the rooms. A Sun-Moon expert said, "Can our race snatch this treasure?" It's hard to say. Everyone was discussing. At this moment, a powerful figure appeared at the door. Open the door. Outside the door, a godly monarch arrived. The quasi-invincible expert beside Zhan Wushuang looked at the other party as the sun and moon revolved in his eyes. The invincible expert outside the door did not mind. After the quasi-invincible expert checked for a while, he roughly confirmed the other party's identity, only then did he open the door to the Divine Marquis Palace. The invincible godly king instantly entered. He was not angered by the quasi-invincible expert's investigation. Recently, this madman, Lan Tian, had been wantonly killing people. The crux of the matter was that it was still difficult to identify his identity. Therefore, even if he was invincible, he could not be completely unguarded. "Greetings, godly king." The group of people bowed one after another. The blue-haired godly king nodded slightly. His entire body emitted a bone-chilling power. He waved his hand and closed the door. The god king said indifferently, "Go back to your rooms first. Zhan Wushuang, Yu Sheng, you stay here." He was talking about Zhan Wushuang and quasi-invincible. The others didn't dare to say anything and walked toward their rooms. As for Su Yu, he couldn't stay any longer either. He entered the room with old Hao and asked curiously, "What are you going to say, sir?" Old Hao was speechless. "You are interested in everything. You have nothing to do." And when these people entered the house, the godly monarch waved his hand and set up a barrier around him. He looked at the two of them and a divine light burst out from his eyes. After probing for a while, he said, "Have there been any abnormalities in the Divine Marquis Mansion recently?" Abnormalities? That quasi-invincible thought for a moment and shook his head. "There haven't been any. It's been very quiet." "Has anyone been coming and going?" "No, after Wushuang and I came back, we sealed off the Divine Marquis Mansion. After that, no one went in or out. Everyone stayed here." This divine king thought for a moment and nodded slightly. However, he still said, "Then, have you felt any danger recently?" He looked at Zhan Wushuang, who nodded, "Yes, I feel that something big is going to happen." "You have a good feeling." The godly monarch praised him, and then he said in a low voice, "It seems that the possibility of it happening in our celestial race is not very high. Something big is going to happen, and a group of people are waiting for this day." After he said that, he quickly said, "In a few days, the nine-leafed sky lotus will open. There will be a big change. The Divine Marquis Mansion is not safe anymore. The celestial race here needs to be taken away, and they are all the elites of our race. We cannot give up just like that." Zhan Wushuang frowned and said, "Sir, you mean that this place cannot be stopped? He too is coming up?" "Yes, for sure." The godly monarch said calmly, "Even if he too does not come up, someone will help him. If we do not make a mess, how can we fish in troubled waters?" Zhan Wushuang hesitated and said, "Sir, you mean, someone is colluding with he too?" "Not colluding, it's the situation that needs it." The godly king said with a faint smile, "Including our celestial race, we also need it. The strongest expert of our celestial race this time is the Thunder Godly King. A level 7 Eternal Realm Warrior. However, the leader of the Heaven Hunting Pavilion is a level 9 Eternal Realm Warrior, and the Blood Fire Demon King who came secretly is also a level 9 Eternal Realm Warrior. The human race may also have infiltrated. It's still unclear on the celestial race's side. If he too and the others don't come up, how will our race have a chance? Zhan Wuxia and Yusheng understood what he meant. He too had to come up, which was in everyone's interest. However, the others were in danger. At the very least, it would be extremely dangerous if they were invincible. Sir, what should we do? The Godly King smiled. I came here to think of a way to take you away, but we have to be careful of any mistakes. If we take away someone we shouldn't have, that would be the biggest trouble. Someone I shouldn't have taken. Yusheng whispered, you mean, Blue Sky? Blue Sky. The godly monarch smiled, it's not him. Although Blue Sky is ever-changing and has a strong invisibility ability, there are some slight flaws in Blue Sky's transformation technique. The moment his strength explodes, his aura will be exposed. Although it's very short, it can be sensed. It's not Blue Sky. Yusheng was surprised. Then who was it? On the side, Zhan Wuxia's eyes changed and he said in a deep voice, he really came in. The godly monarch looked at him and smiled. It said that there will be some sensing between the evildoers. Did you guess that he came in? Zhan Wuxia said in a deep voice, not before, but after Modwa killed Xian Wuji in Dao Cheng, I felt that he came. Modwa, I understand him. Dao Cheng and Xian Wuji are far inferior to him, not to mention the others. Modwa won't even put them in his eyes. Modwa's personality is not that of slaughtering the weak. If he wants to kill, he will only kill those Dao protectors and kill Yang Arc. As for the others, Modwa probably won't care about them at all. The Godly King laughed, so you are certain that that guy has come in? I can't be sure. Zhan Wuxia regained his calm. In this generation's heaven roll, there is only one person who can be killed, and who would let Mo Duo admit it. The Godly King nodded. On the side, Yusheng said strangely, Sir, Wuxia, what you are talking about is. Zhan Wuxia said calmly, Su Yu. Yusheng was stunned for a moment. Su Yu. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2633, Chapter 2633, Chapter 563, The Pugilistic World is My Legend 2. Chapter 2633, Chapter 563, The Pugilistic World is My Legend 2. Yusheng looked at Zhan Wuxia and then at the Godly King. If it wasn't for the Godly King's smile and silence, he would have suspected that Zhan Wuxia was afraid of being beaten up. To be honest, even now, not many people suspected that Su Yu had come. Only some top experts or people who were familiar with Modwa Na would have such a guess. Because Modwa Na would most likely not kill them. And Modwa Na had admitted that. Only those who were more talented than him could be convinced. The Divine King ignored Yusheng and looked at Zhan Wuxia. He smiled and said, that's right. In fact, everyone guessed that he had come after this. Previously, we didn't think that way. He was too greedy and ruthless. He killed all the geniuses of the current generation of the Immortal Clan. We had to suspect that he had come. Previously, no one really thought much about it. When the matter with Modwa came out, some people began to think about it. Zhan Wuxia was not too surprised. He asked, is that Lord worried that he has sneaked into our celestial race? Yes. The Godly King smiled and said, I am a little worried. He has left the ancient city. His strength is average, but his hiding skills are becoming more and more exquisite. If he really sneaks into our group, we will not be worried. No matter how heaven-defying he is, he cannot do anything to us now. You will be in danger. Then. Zhang Wushuang did not finish his sentence. The godly monarch said, if he and Modwa work together, they can kill a quasi-invincible. Zhang Kuei's death is hard to confirm now. Yang Arc should have been killed by them. If these two work together, they may already have the battle strength to kill a quasi-invincible. Therefore, we must be on guard against him. If we can kill him, we must kill him because he is too terrifying. Too terrifying. This was the words of a godly monarch. Even Zhang Wushuang had never heard an invincible expert speak of a young man in such a manner. However, he remained silent and did not refute. Yes, that fellow was indeed very terrifying. He was powerful, ruthless, and evil. He was also good at disguising himself and did not care about his face. If Su Yu was said to be the most shameless genius in the world, no one would refute him. The pride of a genius was actually very rare to see in Su Yu. His pride was just a word, but in reality, Su Yu was very tolerant. Such a guy had strength, a backer, talent, a brain, and no worries. This was the most terrifying thing. Perhaps, his only concern was the many divine words. Just as Zhang Wushuang was thinking, the godly king said, he must die. It's not our family's intention. It's the intention of the other clans besides the human race. Even if we give up the 9-leaf sky lotus and kill him, it would be worth it. If we don't kill him now, when he returns to the ancient city, it will be even more troublesome. Someone has already secretly gone to capture Lu Wenyan and the others. Wushuang, I'm telling you this because I want to tell you not to learn from Madonna. The godly monarch said in a low voice, the celestial race has never mistreated you. I can understand why Madonna cooperated with him. It's normal for him to be unwilling to become the future demon emperor. However, the celestial race has never treated you like this. Zhang Wushuang nodded and said in a low voice, Sir, I know. No, we don't care about the agreement you made with him previously. You want to fulfill your agreement. This is also your own matter. If necessary, the celestial race can help you complete the previous deal. However, you can appreciate each other, but you cannot have any deeper cooperation with him. You have to understand that Su Yu is a ruthless man who has killed countless people. If you are not careful, you will lose everything. The Celestials suffered heavy losses. Most likely, it was his good deed that killed the current generation of the Celestials. The Celestial race suffered heavy losses. If nothing unexpected happened, it was also his doing. The only thing he still has some feelings for the human race is that he does not have any good intentions towards us. This godly king spoke word by word. This was also an extremely rare matter. A godly king was teaching Zhang Wushuang how to get along with Su Yu. He did not ask him to do anything. He only told him that between race and understanding each other, one had to consider race first. Zhang Wushuang nodded, I know. That's good. This godly king looked at some houses behind the courtyard. He said softly, I have a heavenly weapon that can accommodate some people. Later, all of you will go in. If I fight, I won't be in the mood to care about these things. Yu Sheng is responsible for maintaining the stability of the heavenly weapon space. Wu Shuang, you are responsible for keeping an eye on everyone. If there are any unusual movements, kill. At the critical moment, as long as my opponent is not a human or an undead, Yu Sheng must inform me in time to kill the other party. Also, if the critical moment really comes and I am unable to withdraw, Yu Sheng will protect Wu Shuang. I will leave a hole for you. The others will be buried with the Sky Soldier. As soon as these words were said, Zhang Wushuang's expression changed. Yu Sheng's expression also changed drastically as he said, Sir. This is our celestial race. The godly monarch said coldly, I still cherish feelings. Otherwise, other than you guys, we should kill everyone. If he is really present, using this generation of celestial race to accompany him in death, is also the honor of this generation of celestial race. Using a group of celestial race genius experts to accompany Su Yu in death was worth it. However, just as he said, he still cherished feelings. Moreover, he was not sure whether Su Yu was here or not. Otherwise, killing everyone was worth it. As long as he was sure that Su Yu was among them, he could kill him now. However, all of this was hard to say. God knows where Su Yu was now. Yu Sheng's expression changed. He sighed and did not say anything more. He only hoped that Su Yu did not sneak into the celestial race because there was already a godly king who had made up his mind. Once there was a mistake, he would kill everyone and kill Su Yu. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2634, Chapter 2634, Chapter 563, The Pugilistic World is My Legend 3. Chapter 2634, Chapter 563, The Pugilistic World is My Legend 3. What a terrifying decision. Using hundreds of genius experts to accompany this fellow in death. He fell silent. After a moment of silence, he could not help but say, "Actually, we can wait a few years for him to die." The godly king looked at him and said indifferently, "What a foolish idea. If you still think that he will die without a doubt until now, I can only say that you are too naive. It is difficult for you to prove your point because your idea is too simple. Su Yu will die. Nonsense." At this moment, the godly monarch felt that even if he and the others died, that fellow might not necessarily die. The so-called law of the city lord's certain death might not be useful to Su Yu. The godly monarch did not say anything more. He removed the barrier and shouted, "Everyone, come out." Soon, a group of people walked out of the house. The godly monarch's eyes flashed with divine light. He swept his gaze around but did not probe too deeply. If Su Yu was really here, it would be easy to alert the enemy. Next, there will be a huge change on the 7th floor. We may not have the time to protect all of you. Everyone, if you are willing, you can enter my illusionary heavenly mirror to take refuge. Illusionary heavenly mirror. Some people were puzzled, while others knew that this was the godly monarch's weapon. It was not offensive and could be considered auxiliary. Heavenly weapons did not all come with their own space. Not all of the spaces brought with them could accommodate people. However, a small number of heavenly weapons, such as the 100-path pavilion, could actually accommodate people. This included Lao Wan, who had pulled out the sword, and the heart cultivation pavilion, which could also accommodate people. At this moment, the divine king was about to be moved. To move these celestials. In the crowd, Su Yu's expression was indifferent. He was the same as many others, regardless of where they were. However, there was still an expert who said hesitantly, "Sir, wouldn't we be safer in the divine marquee mansion?" It was not doubt, but fear. Because, there was someone who had done something that everyone was afraid of, Zhu Tianfang. God of deception. It was the same routine. "Everyone, come in, I'll take you all away." Then, a group of sun and moon, including Quasi-Invincible, entered his weapon and boom, exploded. This had just happened. In fact, some people were still afraid. With the explosion of the heavenly weapons and the suppression of the godly monarch, even Quasi-Invincible could be killed by the explosion. This was truly putting their lives in the other party's hands. They would be fish in a barrel. The godly monarch looked indifferent. "If you want to enter, then come in. If you don't, then stay here and guard. Protect yourself. Don't run around." Once these words were said, some people hesitated. And at that moment, the godly monarch threw out a mirror and instantly appeared in front of everyone, revealing a huge door. Inside the door, it was like a fairyland, with pavilions and pavilions faintly discernible. "Those who are willing to go with me, come in now. Those who are unwilling, stay here." The godly monarch's voice was still calm. As for Su Yu, he was thinking, should I go in? If I go in, what if I get surrounded by this guy and explode? Then should I not go in? Just as this thought appeared in his mind, his calamity word divine text twitched slightly. Su Yu was alarmed. Danger. Not going in. Danger. Beside him, Old Hao was also hesitating at this moment. He transmitted his voice, Yun Hao, are you going in? Su Yu was a little bitter. He said directly, go in. It's fine if the sun and moon don't go in, but if we mountains and seas don't go in, are we going to die? He was very bitter and sarcastic. When he saw someone walking toward the door, he didn't hesitate and quickly followed. Seeing this, Old Hao also hurried to follow. It made sense. The sun and moon still had confidence, so there was no need to think about mountains and seas. Soon, most of the 200 or so celestials in the courtyard chose to enter. Close to 180 of them chose to enter, while the remaining 20 or so hesitated for a moment and didn't enter. There were geniuses and experts. At this moment, Zhan Wushuang looked at these people and hesitated for a moment. Then, he said, it's dangerous outside. Let's come in and hide. The Divine Marquis Manor isn't safe either. There's no need. We'll think of a way. A young genius was somewhat arrogant. There was no need. He wasn't willing to be controlled by others. It was better for him to hide. It might be safer. Zhan Wushuang sighed and entered the illusory heavenly mirror with Yu Sheng. The door closed. The Divine King looked at the remaining people and closed his eyes for a moment. After a moment, he sighed, maybe I'm wrong, but it's better to kill the wrong person than let go. I'm giving you all a chance. Boom. A palm slammed down, and the group of people exploded without any time for the weak to react. As for the sun and moon, they were extremely terrified as they roared, frozen godly monarch, what are you doing? Boom. He was instantly frozen, and his body shattered. This godly monarch instantly killed all the people who had not entered, including the geniuses. He took the others with him, but some of them were unwilling to enter. This meant that the other party could be Su Yu. Even if he was not, he could ensure that there were no more celestials in the outside world. There was no longer any Su Yu pretending to be a celestial from the outside world. Either Su Yu was not a celestial, or he was inside his illusory heaven mirror. In this way, at least he would not be disguised as a celestial. Now, all the non-invincible and quasi-invincible celestials that appeared in the outside world were fake. The real ones were also fake. After killing these people, the frozen godly monarch carefully inspected them. He sealed the entire Divine Marquis mansion in ice and instantly disappeared from the spot. In the illusionary sky mirror, no one could see the outside world. No one knew what the situation was like. However, Su Yu was thinking that he was in danger just now because he didn't want to come in. What kind of danger? Could it be that he would die if he didn't come in? Those guys outside, how are they now? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2635, Chapter 2635, Chapter 563, The Pugilistic World is My Legend 4. Chapter 2635, Chapter 563, The Pugilistic World is My Legend 4. The illusionary sky mirror wasn't too big, but it had all the necessary pavilions and pavilions. The environment was very good, and the vitality was very dense. It was more than enough to accommodate a few hundred people, but it wasn't good enough to see what was happening outside. Just as he was thinking, after a while, the sky suddenly showed the scenery outside. The voice of the frozen godly monarch came from the sky. Confined spaces can easily cause people to panic. This is the scenery outside. Nothing will happen. If we really encounter danger, Cosmic Saint will arrange for everyone to leave. Everyone, stay in the illusionary heaven mirror. Don't move around and run around. Don't act recklessly. Otherwise, if the heavenly troops are not stable, it will be easy for trouble to appear. As he said that, Ice-Sealing Divine King said again, everyone else, do not worry. Since you are not leaving, you must have the confidence to save your lives. The danger and the opportunity represent. Perhaps, after leaving, it will be their opportunity. Su Yu did not care at the beginning. In the end, he suddenly caught a glimpse of the helplessness and pain in Zhan Wushuang's eyes. He was stunned for a moment. Very soon, Su Yu was shocked. Helplessness. He was in danger if he did not come in. At this moment, Su Yu suddenly understood something. He was a little shocked. He seemed to have thought of something. The guy who did not come in, perhaps, he was already dead. It was not someone else who killed him, but this godly monarch. Why do I have to kill him? If he doesn't come in, then kill him. Control all the celestials and prevent any accidents from happening to the celestials, indiscriminate killing. Is he worried that someone will sneak in? He's so determined. Is he targeting Blue Sky? He thought, no, Blue Sky's doppelganger sneaked in. What's the use of killing Blue Sky's doppelganger? It can't be, targeting me, right? Su Yu's heart trembled slightly. Targeting me? The Protoss knows that I'm here. How did the Protoss know? Could it be that, the matter with Modwa can't be hidden from everyone? Su Yu made a judgment in his heart. Keeping a low profile these few days was actually related to Modwa. This fellow had created a good image in front of everyone. Many people did not believe that he had killed Xian Wuji and the others. That fellow, Lan Tian, was not willing to take the blame. He cried out all day long, claiming that he was wronged. As he cried out, he killed at the same time. This made everyone know that he might really have been wronged. Since it wasn't Lan Tian, did Modwa really kill people? In that case, Su Yu came in, and he had some evidence. Su Yu had considered all of this, but he didn't expect that this son of AB*TCH, Modwa, was really trusted by everyone. It was simply infuriating. Why didn't Modwa know how to kill? Who was he looking down on? Did he have to be Su Yu to do such a thing? Su Yu sighed in his heart. At this moment, he had a vague feeling that someone might have guessed that he had entered, but they weren't sure who he was. Right now, the various races might have some plans to deal with him. Illusion Sky Mirror. It was a good idea to include the entire God race into the Illusion Sky Mirror. Even if Su Yu was in it, he wouldn't be able to escape. It was very difficult to break a heavenly weapon. It was really that simple. Su Yu had broken the heavenly weapon and integrated it into his civilization. The heavenly weapon was comparable to a carrier. It could not be broken unless it was invincible. Su Yu did not have invincible combat strength, so it would be difficult for him to break the heavenly weapon. But the heavenly weapon will have an entrance and exit. Su Yu muttered in his heart. Zhan Wushuang and that Yusheng might know where the entrance and exit were. As for the exit in the sky, it seemed to be real. There was a high probability that it was fake. Yes, at this moment, a small vortex appeared faintly in the sky. It seemed to be the exit. However, Su Yu judged that it was most likely fake. Perhaps it was to lure him into a trap. If he had an evil heart, he would think of escaping alone. Otherwise, he should have listened to the godly king and listened to Yu Sheng and the others' orders to retreat at the critical moment. I am being targeted. The Celestials may not be sure that I am in the Celestials, but they are still so vigilant. They even killed those who refused to leave in order to kill me. They are really ruthless. He had a bit of an invincible aura now. In fact, he was still a little lacking. If he had the ability, he could kill all of them without discrimination. Only a few invincible ones were left. Then, he was sure that he, Su Yu, could not disguise himself. You are still not ruthless enough. Su Yu muttered in his heart. At this moment, he had an idea in his heart. Many undefeatable people were probably guessing that he had arrived. He really did have some status. He did not even need to make a move. The other party had killed his own people. Those people who had stayed behind had died in vain. Now that someone else's heavenly weapon had entered, it was not easy to deal with. However, Su Yu himself was a weapon forging master. Weapon forging masters like to leave a backup plan. The weapon of the Frost God King was definitely not forged by him. In that case, this heavenly weapon might have some loopholes. Su Yu was someone who had forged the embryonic form of a divine weapon. If they really wanted to find it, there was still hope to discover the other party's trump card. Have you all forgotten how versatile I, Su Yu, am? Su Yu cursed in his heart. I'm a rare earth weapon division in the myriad realms. The key point is that I've also forged the embryonic form of a divine weapon. In truth, the heaven weapon division was stronger than him, but it wasn't necessarily impossible for him to discover their trump card. If I don't even have this bit of ability, how can I be a weapon forging division? I am too powerful, so powerful that these guys have forgotten that I am a weapon forging division. Su Yu muttered in his heart. Yes, I am a weapon forging division. He had even forgotten about it. However, Su Yu's formal resume was a weapon forging division. He was not a divine scribe or a warrior. Su Yu remained calm and quietly watched Zhang Wushuang and Yu Sheng. If these two knew the exit, they might reveal some clues. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2636, Chapter 2636, Chapter 563, The Pugilistic World is My Legend 5. Chapter 2636, Chapter 563, The Pugilistic World is My Legend 5. And in the outside world, the scene was constantly changing. This was the vision of the Frost God King. Everyone could see the situation outside. Very quickly, Su Yu also recognized where they were. It was the entrance. They could hear the sounds from outside. The moment the Frost God King arrived, a God King quickly gathered and asked, "Is everything settled?" "Yes, it's settled." "That's good." The new God King seemed to glance in the mirror and smiled, "How many?" "Sigh, it's not bad." These were the survivors of the celestial race. Adding in the unrivaled and quasi-unrivaled warriors outside, there were a total of 190 people, and close to 500 had died. Frost God King asked, "How did the other races deal with them?" "The immortals and demons are more or less the same. I'm not too sure about the humans, but they have taken them away. There aren't many wandering outside now. The 7th level is almost empty." The two God Kings did not hide anything from each other. No one cared. They only knew that the other races were more or less the same as them. Perhaps they had all entered the heavenly soldiers or secret realms. Then, the people on the 7th floor had almost all gathered together. What these people did not know was that at this moment, 60 to 70 passages had been broken in succession in the outside world. Some of the invincible ones frowned. So many had died again. At this point, only about 1,200 people were left alive. 2/3 of the authentic ones had died. Of the 3 races, about 600 had survived. Of the human race and the dragon race, about 400 had survived. The remaining ones were the surviving members of all the ancient and small races. Most of the small races and some ancient races had been completely wiped out. Hasn't the 9-leafed sky lotus opened yet? Probably not. Sigh, 2/3 of them have died. Many people sighed. This time, it was truly a disaster. As for the dozens of people who had died in an instant, no one was in the mood to care. So what if they were dead? It wasn't the first time someone had died like this. On the human side, the great Zhou King and the great Xia King quietly observed. When they saw that the other large clans had instantly lost their lives, except for the human clan, the great Zhou King frowned slightly. The great Xia King looked at him and asked, "What's wrong?" Logically speaking, all the clans should be on the 7th floor and should have gathered together. They should have taken refuge in the ancient mansion. If they barged into one of the areas, they would either kill all of them or only kill one clan. How could there be a reason why a portion of the 3 powerful clans had lost their lives? The great Xia King hesitated and said, 3 people ambushing 3 areas. It's possible, but they all died instantly. There's a high probability that they were invincible. Unless the 3 invincible human figures attacked the 3 places together and broke the restriction of the mansion, they wouldn't die so regularly. The great Xia King was deep in thought. You mean they killed themselves eternally? The great Zhou King said lightly, other than that, I can't think of how they could kill in such a regular way. Such a way to kill, the killing pattern is incomparably regular. There is a high probability that they are preparing to retreat, and a portion of them are unwilling. In order to prevent future trouble, they might as well kill them. The great Xia King nodded. There was such a possibility. Prevent future trouble. Blue sky. Not necessarily. The great Zhou King murmured softly, and the great Xia King's expression changed slightly. Suddenly, he looked at an ancient city behind him. He really went in. What do you think? The great Xia King was speechless. After a long while, he said, it's easier to go in than to come out. When he comes out, I suspect that something big is going to happen. Yes. The great Zhou King said calmly, I'm also thinking, if he comes out, how will he return to the ancient city? Right now, there were probably people who had started to guess. Those guys inside were deliberately killing in such a regular manner. At the same time, they probably had the intention to send a message. If it wasn't for blue sky, who would be worth it for them to do this? Su Yu. The great Xia King also calmed down. Only Su Yu was worth it. Killing people was sometimes also a signal. Su Yu went in. They discovered that they were looking for traces of Su Yu. Killing indiscriminately was only to make Su Yu's living space smaller. At this moment, the great Xia King also understood. You knew about it long ago? Just guessing. No, you must have known. The great Xia King snorted coldly and looked at the ancient city again. He frowned and said, who is that kid from the ancient city? You can't guess. The great Xia King thought for a moment before saying, it's hard to judge. It's probably Lu Hong from the Divine Literature Academy, right? Probably. The great Xia King shook his head and didn't say anything else. He glanced at the other parties. Invincible had already disappeared into the void, so he couldn't see anything. However, he knew that Su Yu had been exposed. At this point, everyone inside and outside knew about it. Of course, they were still guessing and didn't have any concrete evidence. Otherwise, they would have killed Su Yu long ago. Su Yu is here. At this moment, on the 7th floor, in a small mound, the blue sky was smiling playfully. This little fellow was here. It would be more interesting if he came. Hopefully, it would bring a little surprise. At the same time, in the 5 Elements clan, the floating earth spirit sighed. Don't fight with the humans. That fellow's luck is too strong. I'm not afraid of others killing me. I'm only afraid of being killed by him. Several fellows on the heaven roll have been killed by him. I don't want to be the next one. At the side, an invincible member of the 5 Elements clan frowned and said, are you sure he's here? 100%, no need to ask. I don't know where he is hiding. It's most likely not the 5 Elements clan. Our clan is weak. If he wants to pretend, he will pretend to be a big clan. The invincible member of the Five Elements clan frowned and said, "That means, the big clans might give up the fight for the nine-leafed sky lotus and focus on killing him." He didn't know whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. At the other side of the entrance, the head of the Sky Division glanced at the 10 or so Sky Hunter Pavilion members in front of him. This was all of them, and the rest were all dead. The sun and moon revolved in his eyes as he looked at them one by one. After looking at them for a long time, a space appeared in his hand. "All of you, come in." The group of Sky Hunter Pavilion members looked at each other and hesitated for a moment before entering one after another. The head of the Sky Division placed them into his secret realm and fell into deep thought. Where was this fellow, Su Yu, hiding now? His hiding methods were getting more and more brilliant. At this moment, even though they clearly didn't see Su Yu or discover him, the myriad clans in the heavens seemed to be certain that this kid was on the 7th level. Some of the invincible clans were even thinking about how to get Su Yu out. This way, the few powerful clans might focus on killing Su Yu instead of snatching the nine-leafed sky lotus. Yes, Su Yu was more important than the nine-leafed sky lotus. If they couldn't get the nine-leafed sky lotus this time, they would come again next time. Su Yu, if they didn't kill him this time, who knew if he would be the one to kill them next time, or if they would be the one to kill him next time. The attention of the entire 7th level was attracted by someone who didn't even come out. Even he too didn't have the qualifications to do so. Damn it. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2637, Chapter 2637, Chapter 564 each had their own schemes. Chapter 2637, Chapter 564 each had their own schemes. They all want to kill me. In the illusion heavenly mirror, Su Yu was filled with emotions. I felt a thick malice. That malice was coming at me. I was just about to say, Su Yu, you've been exposed. The calamity word divine text. It had to be said that, at the peak of the 4th rank, this sensing ability was still extremely sharp. However, it was still a little lacking now. I didn't know where the calamity had come from. If they knew where the disaster came from one day, it would be even more amazing. They didn't know if they would be able to judge it once or twice after reaching the 5th rank. If they knew where the disaster came from, they wouldn't have to guess, judge, and think. It would be great if they didn't use their brains. If they used their brains too much, they would age easily. There are so many invincibles, but I can't deal with any of them. My advantage lies in my concealment, not in my strength. Compared to being powerful, I am far from being unrivaled. In this place, without the help of the stone sculptures, my only helper should be Xingyue. I wonder if Xingyue will help me. I still have to rely on myself. The crux of the matter was that I wasn't strong enough either. The only way was to enter King Gong's residence and rely on the undead spirits. If I wasn't strong enough, I would have to borrow their strength. Other methods wouldn't work. Unless I devour the nine-leafed heavenly lotus first and increase my strength. Only then will I have a chance to fight against invincible. That's right, the nine-leafed heavenly lotus was his only chance to turn the tables. First, he would snatch the heavenly lotus, then he would deal with the enemy. His goal was clear. So from now on, even if a large batch of invincible spirits are killed, I will not move to avoid being exposed. Only when I seize the treasure at the last moment can I show myself. Just as Su Yu was thinking about this, another loud laugh sounded. Ha ha ha, I'm up again. At the entrance of the passageway, he too laughed loudly. With a rumble, the aura of death spread through the heavens and earth. At this moment, 7 to 8 unrivaled warriors attacked one after another. Su Yu saw many people. He saw the head of the Sky Division with the golden mask, and he saw Qin Town holding a gun. Speaking of which, this Qin Town was so fierce. Su Yu watched for a while. The Frost God King didn't participate in the battle. Instead, he stayed at the periphery, which made it easier for him to watch the battle. Suyu watched for a while and was a little surprised. He too was very powerful. The powerful one forced the other invincible deities to retreat step by step. The other undead was the same. When the two undead joined forces, even the head of the Sky Division was forced to retreat. They were completely relying on numbers to suppress these two undead. So weak? Suyu was puzzled. Was there no difference between an eternal 9 Dan and a 7 Dan? If that was the case, it made sense that the Sky Division head couldn't suppress the two of them alone. He didn't understand the implications of this. However, why didn't any of these fellows open the River of Time? It felt like they were doing it with real swords and spears. Or was it that at the level of invincibility, everyone would open the River of Time, so they wouldn't open it anymore? One by one, doubts surfaced in his mind. Gradually, Suyu had some ideas. This was because Suyu realized that the fierce and invincible Xia Longwu was acting like a bystander at this moment. His attitude wasn't too obvious. Xia Longwu, the king of blood butchers that everyone feared, was now behind Qin Town. He attacked from time to time. He didn't even put his life on the line. A bunch of bystanders. Suyu suddenly understood and was a little speechless. He suddenly understood why he too and the sovereign of the dead spirit could attack time and time again and return unscathed. These bastards were all bystanders. Although they said they were afraid, in fact, only those who were invincible were truly afraid. These old fellows who had reached the invincible realm probably had their own schemes. Each and every one of them has cultivated to the invincible realm. They are indeed quite brave. These undead are all in the midst of their schemes. Suyu thought to himself as he looked at the people around him. Even though they were looking through the heavenly soldiers, each and every one of them had a shocked expression on their faces. They were extremely powerful. However, Suyu did not see how powerful they were. A group of people fought against two undead lords. There were even existences that were stronger than the undead lords. There were also other existences that were at the 7th level of Eternal Realm. In the end, they made it seem as if he too was very powerful. 1 against 5. F***CKU. After all, necromancers were necromancers. Once they died, they wouldn't be able to use any of their tricks anymore. He had forgotten that the aura of death was indeed powerful. However, under the circumstances where they were of the same level, to be honest, necromancers were definitely weaker than creatures of the same level. In the end, he too was beaten to such a state. To think that he too was still so excited that he kept barking. As expected, he was brainless. Necromancers were brainless. There was no helping it. Once they died, their brains would become empty. At this moment, outside, he too was extremely excited. Ha ha ha. You bunch of trash. The 7th floor is my territory. If you want to stop me, dream on. Suyu watched coldly from the side. Those unrivaled warriors had fought hard. 5 against 1, they were all forced back by He Tuesday. Another unrivaled warrior joined the battle. On the side of Prince Gong's residence, the dead soul's passageway was shaking. The aura of death was spreading. Suyu could feel it. Obviously, the saber had been moved a lot by the shaking of He Tuesday. He too probably had some effect on that saber. However, if he too didn't come up, he too wouldn't have any effect at all. What powerful dead souls! These two dead souls are too powerful and dangerous. If this goes on, the 7th floor might not be protected. On Suyu's side, the Celestials were discussing in fear again. At this moment, a figure flashed and appeared in front of them. Zhan Wushuang looked outside and said calmly, "Don't worry, even if he too and the others come up, don't forget that there are dozens of invincible ones on the 7th floor. But. No buts. Zhang Wushuang interrupted the other's questions and said calmly, just stay here and nothing will happen. This time, seizing the treasure has become secondary. Once the nine-leaf sky lotus has a home, we just have to wait for its return. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2638, Chapter 2638, Chapter 564 each had their own calculations too. Chapter 2638, Chapter 564 each had their own calculations too. After saying that, he turned his head to look at the crowd. Don't run around and don't move around. No matter what everyone thinks, there are still dozens of invincible existences outside. I hope that everyone will not do something that they regret. Su Yu looked at him with a face full of admiration, but his heart was filled with doubt. Did you say that to the others or to me? Did you suspect that I was in here? Or did you not care whether you suspected or not? You should say it first. After all, there were quite a few pieces of meat. Very soon, Yusheng also came. He swept a glance at the crowd, and his eyes flashed with a divine light. He said coldly, everyone, just look. Don't run around, understand? Understood. The group of people agreed. Su Yu also agreed with a few words and quickly asked, Sir, is the vortex above the exit? If we encounter danger, can we fly out of the vortex? Yusheng glanced at him with contempt in his eyes. He recognized Su Yu and said perfunctorily, even if we go out, we have to take you out to prevent accidents from happening. He did not say whether the vortex was real or fake. There was no need to say it. If you were obedient, you could naturally live. If you were disobedient, you could run around on your own. If you died, don't blame me for not saying it. The vortex was naturally not the exit. Yusheng's gaze subconsciously fell on a certain area. Su Yu didn't look, but he knew that Yusheng was looking at a pavilion. Was the exit really there? Of course, he had to be careful that it was a trap. He had to intentionally lead Su Yu to the exit. Quasi-invincible should still have some brains. Even if he didn't suspect Su Yu's identity, he wouldn't have made it so obvious. Su Yu didn't care about these things. He didn't plan to go out through the exit. If he really went out, wouldn't he be afraid of being caught like a turtle in a jar? Wouldn't he block the door and kill you? At this moment, he was like an ordinary mountain and sea, watching the battle outside. After watching for a while, he could not see clearly, so he stopped watching. He found a place with fewer people and sat cross-legged, thinking about things in a daze. It was as if he was worried about whether he would be able to get out alive this time. Just as he sat cross-legged, Zhang Wushuang suddenly came. Zhang Wushuang squatted down in front of him and said with a faint smile, Yun Hao, you want to go out? Su Yu hurriedly stood up and said, Your Highness Wushuang. Don't stand on ceremony. Zhang Wushuang smiled gently and said, Do you want to go out? Su Yu sighed and said, I don't want to go out, I want to go back. With so many people dead, I'm afraid. I'm not afraid that your highness will laugh at me. My only thought now is to go out alive. I don't want any treasures or benefits. This time, too many people died. More than 600 of us came in, less than a third of us survived. Zhang Wushuang nodded and sighed, an extremely evil bastard came in. There's nothing we can do. Su Yu nodded, it's true that the dead spirits kill too much. These guys have already died once, and they're still killing like this. Won't the 10,000 clans be able to deal with them? Zhang Wushuang glanced at him and said softly, there will be a way. You should cultivate first. I'll go and take a look elsewhere. Your Highness. I'm a little scared. Your Highness, can you say a few more words? Su Yu had a sincere look on his face. It was not easy for a small figure like me to meet such a big figure like you. If there was a chance to chat a few more words, of course we should chat. Zhang Wushuang soon lost interest. This was not Su Yu, right? He had been scaring himself. Now, looking at a person, he felt that it might be Su Yu. Forget it. He could not find anything out. Soon, he walked to another person and began to ask about his well-being. Su Yu cursed in his heart, playing this game with me. Zhang Wushuang might be much older than him, but he was still a little inexperienced in this game. A group of guys who had not experienced a few beatings, how could they have so much social experience? He was different. Your grandpa Su loved to bicker with people since he was young, scheming. At this moment, he actually missed Haozi. Sigh. Haozi did not seem to come this time. Unfortunately, it was not a pity. It was better not to come. It was safer. He did not know how his best friend's strength was now. Did he join the Dragon Martial Guards? Or did he continue to study in the academy? Last time, he heard that he had entered the soaring heavens. However, he had too little enlightenment. Entering the soaring heavens was just trash. He did not know if the great Xia clan had given him some face and given him more benefits to help him advance. Su Yu felt that it was meaningless to compete with the geniuses of the myriad clans. Each and every one of them was not too sinister. Their living conditions were different. There were not that many *T things to do. They had been geniuses since they were young and did not have to worry about food and clothing. They had everything they wanted, so why did they need to use their brains? As long as they were strong enough. The stronger the better. The myriad clans were really good at scheming, and they were still those old fogies. Each and every one of them had experienced a lot and had been beaten up, so they were able to use their brains. Compared to scheming, the smaller clans and humans had more. Only when they were not strong enough would they use their brains. Su Yu also wanted to be such a brainless person. That would be great. He could beat whoever he wanted. Outside, a loud sound was heard. Soon, he too and Dummy were beaten down again. Before they left, he too was still laughing maniacally. I will come up. Wait for me. Su Yu cursed in his heart. If you come up, then come up. When the nine-leafed sky lotus opens, if you don't come up, someone will pull you up. If you don't come up, how will the situation be chaotic? If it isn't chaotic, how will everyone snatch the treasure? At this moment, Su Yu could see it clearly. Where are my teacher and the others? Su Yu was thinking about this. He didn't know if his teacher and the others were all right. Also, Harry Ball was still with Huang Jiu. He didn't know how he was now. Kong Kong these strong, where to hide? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2639, Chapter 2639, Chapter 564 each had their own schemes 3. Chapter 2639, Chapter 564 each had their own schemes 3. Could it be that these people also wanted to snatch the nine-leafed sky lotus? Kong Kong. Perhaps there is a chance. That fellow is very powerful. The key is that he is proficient in the art of space. If he were to teleport over and snatch it in an instant, he might have a chance. However, invincibility would definitely guard against him, therefore, even if he were to use Modwa's space shuttle talisman, it would be best to wait for Kong Kong to appear. Otherwise, there would definitely be people guarding against him. Su Yu had many things on his mind. If that was the case, then he actually didn't have any trump cards. His only trump card was Xingyue. Yes, Xingyue. Su Yu's expression changed. Everyone was staring at him, staring at the experts. However, very few people would stare at the undead. This was because the nine-leafed sky lotus was useless against the undead. Perhaps there were some rules that suppressed it. Therefore, the dead souls would normally not touch these things. However, Xingyue was not an ordinary dead soul. She belonged to my family. Therefore, my true hope of obtaining the 9-leafed sky lotus still depends on Xingyue. Other than Modwa, no one knows that I still have a backer in the dead soul's world. Even though it's not very reliable. Yes, Xingyue, it was her. This time, whether or not it would succeed depended on Xingyue. Of course, this was very dangerous. Everyone would not give up on something like the 9-leafed sky lotus so easily. If Xingyue really took it, she would probably be beaten to death. Suyu kept thinking that Xingyue was his only chance. Once I appear, all the powerful clans will be watching me and won't bother about Xingyue, but I'll be in danger. Suyu frowned. Putting himself in danger. This was also a method. The prerequisite was that he had the confidence to escape, or else he would be sending himself to his death. The 8th floor. Suyu's mind was constantly filled with thoughts. I show myself to snatch the treasure, but if I fail, I can only escape to the 8th floor. There will definitely be invincible chasing after me. At that time, all eyes will be on me. Xingyu would have the chance to snatch the treasure and leave. The key was that Xingyu was not obedient. Coax her. Lie to her. Also, she had snatched the treasure and escaped back to the dead soul realm. If I was on the 8th level, it would not be easy for me to chase after her. Troublesome. Or should I just escape to the dead soul realm as well? While he was still thinking, Old Hao whispered from the side, Yun Hao, how did you feel when you communicated with Prince Wushuang just now? As expected of the number 1 prodigy of our celestial race. Suyu praised, he's neither arrogant nor impatient, he's not overbearing. He's too amazing. As he said that, he looked at Zhan Wushuang with a yearning expression. He was just short of saying, I love you so much. But in reality, he was constantly seeping his yuan qi and willpower to investigate the entire heavenly weapon. Of course, the commotion was very small. He mainly relied on the Yin word divine text to investigate and understand the structure of the entire heavenly weapon. Heavenly weapons could only be destroyed if one was invincible. Suyu wasn't, but Annie had grasped the back door. I could also destroy it myself. This thing was now a cage. This wasn't what Suyu wanted. He probed bit by bit and seeped in. This weapon had been refined by the Frost God King. He had to be careful so as not to attract his attention. Outside, the battle had stopped. The invincible experts were all silent. The 8th leaf of the 9-leaf lotus was about to open. At this moment, they could also see the void. The 8th leaf was blooming bit by bit. Soon, the 8 leaves appeared. Their swaying bodies made people gasp in admiration. What a treasure! Just one more leaf. At this moment, someone nearby sighed, the 9-leaf lotus is likely to officially bloom in 2 days. The blooming of the 9-leafed sky lotus was also the source of danger. At this moment, Prince Gong's residence. At the entrance of the huge backyard, the quasi-invincible guards looked at the backyard one by one. The aura of death in the backyard was beginning to spread. At the pavilion in the center of the lake, the saber was beginning to deviate from the entrance. In the lake, the 9-leafed sky lotus that was about to bloom was also rippling with the power of time. All the quasi-invincible guards looked forward to it. One quasi-undefeatable warrior said, what a great treasure. 1 petal for 1 object is enough. 9 flowers. The point is, even if there is an object, we might not be able to get it. This is a true treasure for becoming an emperor. After the Daemerge, he was now known as the emperor. Who would not be greedy for such a true treasure? However, everyone knew that this was not something they could covet. Dozens of undefeatable warriors were waiting. Just as they were sighing with emotion, the void trembled as numerous experts appeared. They were not unrivaled, but quasi-unrivaled. Quasi-unrivaled experts that had not appeared for a long time. Iron-Eating Clan's 9th Month, Ancient Ho Clan's Sky Swallowing, Ming Clan's Long River, and Heavenly Abyss Clan's Heavenly Curse. 4 great experts. On the new Dao proving board, these people were all ranked in the top 10. Each and every one of them appeared here. In the ancient Ho clan, Sky Devouring had a savage look on his face. With a crunching sound, he bit down on a creature that looked like a human, revealing his snow-white teeth. He smiled and said, "All of you are here." That's true. It's too difficult for US fellows to achieve Dao proving. The difference in strength between our 3 bodies is too great, and it's too difficult to become one. Only this treasure, don't have too many. 1 or 2 pieces will be enough for us to balance our 3 bodies and step into one. That's right. These fellows were here for the 9-leafed heavenly lotus as well. The 9-leafed heavenly lotus's greatest use was to strengthen the 3 bodies. By obtaining 3 more bodies, they would be able to strengthen their past and future. As for them, they were almost invincible. Some of their future bodies were too powerful, which made it extremely difficult for them to achieve unity with their 3 bodies. If they had the 9-leafed heavenly lotus now, they might be able to strengthen their 3 bodies to balance their past and future. By doing so, they would be able to achieve unity with their 3 bodies once again. If that was the case, all of them would be able to succeed in their Dao cultivation. Their strength would probably not be any weaker than Xia Longwu, and they might even be stronger. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2640, Chapter 2640, Chapter 564 each had their own. Chapter 2640, Chapter 564 each had their own. Calculations 4. This was because the current them could all fight invincible. A future body would have invincible power. As the ancient Ho spoke, it bit down again, turning the flesh into a bloody mess. It laughed and said, "Where's Kong Kong? That old fellow must have come." In the distance, September was also eating. As he ate, he touched his stomach. Silly said, "He's here, right? The balance of his 3 bodies is even worse than ours." He stole the coffin board of the heavenly ancient and probably merged with his past body. The past is strong to a certain extent, but if he's weak in the future, how can he merge with the past? Kong Kong, right? I'm not here yet. Kong Kong's voice came from the void. Kong Kong sighed, "Why are you all staring at me?" September, Sky Devouring, the river and heavenly curse should be staring at us. Our methods are here, but these 2 methods are special. They can even work together. The Fated Clan and the Heavenly Abyss Clan might not be an alliance, but these 2 clans are truly strange and mysterious. Keep an eye on them. In the sky, the river merged into the river of time and said with a chuckle, "Kong Kong, you flatter me. No matter how mysterious we are not as powerful as you. The coffin of the heavenly ancient immortal emperor and the tombstone of the human race. These 2 treasures are in your hands." A group of quasi-unrivaled experts acted as though no one was around as they chatted above the heads of the quasi-unrivaled experts. Arrogant. However, the group of quasi-unrivaled experts below all had extremely grave expressions on their faces. At this moment, a figure of an unrivaled expert appeared in the air. His eyes were as bright as the sun as he stared at the few of them and coldly spoke, "The few of you want to snatch the treasures as well?" Zhou laughed foolishly, "Let's take a look, let's watch the show." "Lord Demon King, please calm down." After saying that, he laughed, "The demon race is not to be trifled with, not to be trifled with." "Oh right, where is Immortal King Yushir?" In the next moment, an Immortal King appeared in the air, Immortal King Yu. He looked coldly at Zhou and frowned, "Zhou, you are looking for me." Zhou spat out a droplet of saliva. He hurriedly sucked it away and said in fear, "Immortal King Yushir is so strong, I have no other intentions. My race does not fight, we do not kill." As he said that, he added, "We don't snatch treasures or eat people." After saying that, he swallowed his saliva crazily and stuffed something into his mouth. He transmitted his voice to the ancient Ho and said. Sky swallowing, Kong Kong Kong, lure him out, alright. Let's find a place and beat him up. We'll roast him and eat him. Immortal king, you sure? Although he wasn't considered too old, he was still an old antique that had survived the previous tide. He would definitely be very fragrant. Eternal 5 Dan. He was a formidable fellow, but September and the other great demons weren't that afraid of him. If they worked together, they could kill him. If they killed him, they could eat his flesh. As for the demons, they weren't interested in him at all. They were too smelly. At this moment, regardless of whether it was heaven devouring or September, both of them had the urge to drool. On the other hand, on the other side, Moon Eclipse Immortal King had a cold expression on his face. He could sense malice. A few quasi-unrivaled experts actually harbored malice towards him. These fellows had really gone mad. They actually wanted to eat him. Yes, he felt it. No, he saw it. September and Sky Devouring were currently drooling. A bunch of crazy beasts. As for the Demon King, his eyes flickered as he instantly vanished from his original spot. You guys play, I don't care. Even he could sense the strength of these quasi-unrivaled experts. These fellows were all blessed with good fortune. Some of them had extremely powerful bodies in the past, while some of them had incomparably powerful bodies in the future. They all possessed unrivaled combat prowess and weren't those who could barely fight against them. Instead, they were those who could fight against them, they could even fight to the death. This was the strongest batch of quasi-unrivaled experts in the myriad realms. Just treat them as if they were unrivaled. If not, if any ordinary quasi-unrivaled expert dared to look at them like that, the Moon Eclipse Immortal King would definitely go crazy and kill them. Both sides were thinking about something. And at this moment, the expressions of everyone changed. In the air, numerous figures appeared. Men, women, old and young, all of them screamed in unison, I'm so wronged. Apologize, apologize to me. I'm so wronged. I'm so wronged. As these voices rang out, the air started to tremble again. It wasn't as intense as before. However, it still caused the expressions of the quasi-invincible experts to change. Boom! In the air, two powerful energy fluctuations spread out. One of them let out a muffled groan and fell down from the endless darkness. A black-robed expert appeared from the darkness and coldly said, Lan Tian, are you looking for trouble with me? The Heaven Curse of the Heaven Abyss clan was ranked 4th on the Tao Manifestation roll. As for Lan Tian, he was ranked 6th on the Tao Manifestation roll. At this moment, figures appeared one after another in the air. These figures rapidly decayed and turned into dust. Lan Tian mournfully said, You are so ruthless, you are so vicious. A muffled groan sounded out once again. It was the Heaven Curse. Some death aura spread out from his body. Some of the quasi-invincible figures below hurriedly avoided it. Those death aura were not death aura, but they had the effect of being destroyed. The Heavenly Curse's voice fluctuated. What a blue sky! Blue Sky's true strength might not be as strong as his, but the difference wasn't too big. At this moment, Blue Sky seemed to have some sort of bonus. That mournful roar had some additional effects and attacked his sea of consciousness, causing him to suffer a bit. Heavenly Curse. At this moment, Blue Sky's faint voice sounded, Your father killed Yibadian. Heavenly Saint said that he would kill your entire family sooner or later and exterminate your entire clan. Heavenly Curse, your name is unlucky. Oh my God, you were originally part of our family, but now you're going to die. Heavenly Curse's cold voice sounded, If you have the ability, then kill me. Blue Sky, is that right? Blue Sky. Blue Sky. At this moment, the entire void was filled with this voice. One by one, the Blue Sky avatars festered again and instantly turned into dust. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2641, Chapter 2641, Chapter 564 each had their own schemes. 5. Chapter 2641, Chapter 564 each had their own schemes. 5. Many of the clones had died. There were no dead souls. Because they were just clones. As for Blue Sky, he said mournfully, "You re-bullying me, heavenly curse, you re-bullying me." That resentment pierced through the heavens and earth. Boom! At this moment, everyone saw that in the air, a black gas was bitten off by a thick demonic face. The heavenly curse spat out a mouthful of blood, instantly turning it into nothingness. He was shocked. "You." Lan Tian's mournful voice sounded again, "If you want to die, you will definitely die. You actually killed my clone, you must die." F***ck. The heavenly curse cursed silently. He had always cursed others, but today, he had met his opponent. That madman's resentful voice seemed to be connected to something. That demonic face was even stronger than his curse power. With a single bite, he broke his curse. Lan Tian suddenly stopped his resentful screams. Instead, he said pitifully, "Why did you bully me? Why? Don't bully a weak little girl like me anymore." In the surroundings, invincible figures appeared one after another. Each of them had a different expression as they looked at the sky. Lan Tian, on the other hand, disappeared at this moment. His sorrowful voice sounded again, "You guys bullied me. You wronged me. I'm so miserable. Little Su Yu, save me. Someone is bullying me." In the surroundings, the expressions of some invincible figures changed slightly. Blue Sky suddenly laughed as his voice rang out from all directions once again, "Hee hee, hee hee. My little Su Yu is here right now. He's among you guys. He's half of my disciple. My disguise technique. He received my true inheritance. How powerful." Lan Tian, don't try to confuse us with your lies. Eclipse Immortal King said coldly, "What do you think a mere Su Yu can do? No matter how monstrous he is, this is still the Starry Sky Manor. Does he dare to come out here? He is coming out. He will be here soon. I will kill all of you, kill him." The madman's voice got further and further away. Lan Tian screamed again. In the darkness, a few invincible figures appeared, each holding a clone in their hands. Some of them had different expressions. "He has countless clones," they said slowly. "It's very difficult to find out where his true body is. This fellow is very strange. The most important thing is that he seems to be connected to something on the 7th floor. That power of hatred is extremely powerful." The invincible figures weren't weak either, and they were able to deduce some things. Heavenly Curse had actually suffered a small loss. This was something inconceivable. Heavenly Curse was ranked first on the Tao Proving Board before this. Regardless of whether the previous rankings were accurate or not, there was naturally a reason why he was ranked first. Heavenly Curse had fought against Unrivaled long ago and wasn't at a disadvantage. But today, he suffered a small loss at the hands of Blue Sky. A group of unrivaled experts were all incomparably gloomy. This madman had been going crazy recently. Killing people everywhere. More importantly, he was extremely powerful. And at this moment, below, there was a quasi-unrivaled expert who was extremely surprised. He asked in a low voice, "Sir Immortal King, is Su Yu?" The Eclipse Immortal King replied indifferently, "Is there a difference between him coming or not? A mere Ling Yun, how can he overturn the heavens? This isn't an ancient city." "No, Sir Immortal King, is he here or not?" Moon Eclipse Immortal King frowned and said coldly, "Why? Does Su Yu's presence have any effect on us? These fellows, what kind of expressions were they wearing? So what if Suyu came? Even that madman Lon Tian couldn't stir up any waves, let alone Suyu. Even Moon Eclipse Immortal King was strange. Was there a need for all of them to be like this? He had seen many freaks. And at this moment, the other quasi-invincible experts seemed to only be here to show their faces. Very quickly, they all disappeared. These quasi-undefeatable beings were extremely powerful. Before the heavenly curse left, he even took a look at the gate of the dead souls and quickly disappeared. At the same time, below the dead souls' passageway, the lords of the dead souls were all preparing for battle, looking excited. At this moment, a cold voice suddenly sounded in the dead souls' passageway, "Respected lords, I am the heavenly curse of the Heavenly Abyss clan. My clan is willing to help you break through the gate of the dead souls. I hope that you can form an alliance with my clan, an alliance from the ancient times. If you agree, we are willing to bring you into the 7th level." Xing Yu was a little strange. Beside her, a powerful lord of the dead souls was not surprised. He smiled and said, "Heavenly Abyss clan. The clan that fell into the dead souls realm in the ancient times. The Heavenly Abyss realm is only one wall away from our dead souls realm. It's useless. There's no passage there. There are only some small cracks. We can't get out. Only some little ones can get out." The ancient sovereign lord started to gossip, but Star Moon knew nothing about many secrets. Soon, one of the sovereign lords smiled and said, "Interesting. The Heavenly Abyss tribe wants to join forces with us. Do you agree? Why not? These creatures have always been like this, always so arrogant. They just want to borrow our power to profit for them. Agree to them. What they want doesn't conflict with what we want." The monarchs discussed. Soon, they looked at Star Moon and smiled. "Star Moon Monarch, what do you think?" Star Moon said in a deep voice, "Is the alliance agreement that he mentioned a big restriction on us? Once the alliance agreement is formed, what effect will it have? Also, why can he send voice transmissions into the dead souls realm? It seems that other than the dead souls, no one else can do it." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2642, Chapter 2642, Chapter 564 each had their own calculation 6. Chapter 2642, Chapter 564 each had their own calculation 6. At the very least, there was nothing they could do about the sealed passageway. Some of the passageways in the ancient city could be entered through voice transmission if the guards allowed it. Because they're from the Heavenly Abyss clan. An ancient undead laughed. They've been dealing with the undead world for many years. It's just some small tricks. It's an ancient alliance. Xing Yue, you're too young, so you don't know that the Heavenly Abyss world has actually made some agreements with the undead world. Under the witness of the rules, it can be concluded. What they want, if nothing goes wrong, is the 9-leafed heavenly lotus. What we want is to go out, quickly go out, and meet up with he too and the others. Xing Yue said in a deep voice, "Everyone, are you ready to conclude it?" "Why not?" Xing Yue thought about it and agreed. Why would the undead care about this? Get out of here and make a pact. The 9-leafed sky lotus they want is worthless to them. They can't use it at all. Xing Yue asked again, "Can the Heavenly Abyss tribe allow us to go out regardless of the rules?" "I don't know. At least they can give us more chances." Xing Yue stopped asking. She was thinking, should she tell Su Yu's disobedient subordinate? The Heavenly Abyss clan was actually able to communicate with the dead souls world. This Xing Yue didn't even know about it before. It was a disgrace to the dead souls. Moreover, under the gaze of many invincible beings, the other party could communicate with the dead souls in the dead souls passage. This was a very special method. Suyu hasn't opened his young aperture and hasn't absorbed my aura of death. Could he be hiding somewhere? Should I inject more aura of death and expose him? Xingyu thought fiercely. Should I? At most, I'll break some rules and receive some punishment. I'll expose Suyu and let him be killed. After thinking for a while, Xingyu harumphed and gave up on this tempting idea. That sly fellow might not be affected at all. If he knew that I was going to trick him, he would definitely take revenge on me. Once he fully absorbs my death aura, I will be discovered sooner or later. PLL give up for now. Thinking of this, she did not increase the transmission of death aura. She still maintained the weak death aura channel from before. The death aura that was sent in had some weak fluctuations. Only she and Suyu could understand these fluctuations. At the same time, Suyu was slightly stunned. He quickly dispelled the weak aura of death. Ever since Xingyu came here, the channel of the aura of death between him and Xingyu had been established. It was very weak, and Suyu had also been dispelling it. Unless he opened his young aperture to absorb the aura of death, he could hardly sense any aura of death on Suyu's body. At this moment, the weak aura of death that was transmitted over seemed to be telling him something. Suyu carefully identified it and quickly dispelled the aura of death. Soon, his expression changed slightly. Damn! The Heavenly Abyss clan. Not bad. This clan was actually related to the Dead Souls clan and could even collude with them. How could this be possible? Could this be considered a traitor of the living soul world? He quickly thought about the pros and cons of this piece of news. How could he take advantage of it? Perhaps this is also a legitimate opportunity for the Dead Souls to snatch the nine-leafed heavenly lotus. There are even people who will help. The prerequisite is that Xingyu must be obedient and snatch the treasure. The nine-leafed heavenly lotus will be under Xingyu's control. The other Dead Souls will help her, and the Heavenly Abyss clan will also help her. With that, the chances of snatching the treasure increased greatly. At this moment, Suyu's young aperture was also gradually absorbing some death chi and sending out some weak fluctuations. He was communicating with Xingyu. At this moment, outside, the frozen godly monarch frowned slightly and looked around. The appearance of the river illustration had caused the death chi in the area to pervade the area, and he was able to sense it. He looked at the mirror in his hand again and carefully sensed it. There was nothing abnormal. However, at that instant, he did sense some weak death chi fluctuations. His willpower probed into the mirror to check. There was nothing wrong. He observed for a while, but nothing happened. With a wave of his hand, the death chi around him was repelled. Nearby, a godly monarch transmitted his voice, "What are you doing? Don't disperse the death chi. If you do, the dead soul passageway won't open. How do you deal with what happens next?" The ice seal was silent. It didn't say anything, allowing the surrounding aura of death to permeate once again. Indeed, no one was expelling the aura of death now. They were waiting for the undead passageway to open. All of them were very passive. Only Qin Zhen of the human race. No one knew if he was stupid or not. He was expelling the aura of death again. No one knew if it was because he felt uncomfortable or if he really didn't want the undead to come up. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2643, Chapter 2643, Chapter 565, Who's Stupid and Who's Foolish? Asks for a subscription. Chapter 2643, Chapter 565, Who's Stupid and Who's Foolish? Asks for a subscription. The nine-leafed lotus is about to bloom. Another day passed. At this moment, at the entrance of the passage, an invincible dragon said with a loud voice, "Everyone, it's time to talk. There's no need to keep quiet. There's only one nine-leafed lotus. Who will it belong to? As soon as these words were said, a powerful godly monarch from the celestial race said coldly, who will it belong to? Who do you think it will belong to? Who doesn't want it? If you just said it, it would have belonged long ago. The Dragon King didn't stand on ceremony either. Your celestial race has an eternal in King Gong's mansion, but my race doesn't. T. Long Chi and I are here. Once the nine-leafed heavenly lotus opens, won't my race give up on this thing? If it really doesn't work, Long Chi and I will leave. Obviously, the Dragon King didn't want to stay at the entrance anymore. In fact, not many people wanted to stay. Let he too come up. Maybe, it was a good idea. At this moment, someone from the immortal tribe said indifferently, he too and the unknown dead soul are both very powerful, so we should be on guard. I think the head of the Sky Division is very powerful. Why don't you stay here for a while? The head of the Sky Division was silent. Because at this moment, all the races seem to have come to an agreement. Since you are the strongest, you can stay here to defend against he too and the others. Not only that, someone laughed and said, I see that the human race is also very strong, and their losses aren't too big. Why don't the human race cooperate with the Heaven Hunting Pavilion and stay here together? On the human side, Zhu Tianfang laughed and said, what you said means that I have a huge grudge with the Heaven Hunting Pavilion. Once I stay here, who knows who will fight who? I think, why don't we just forget about it? The celestial race has a good relationship with all the major races, and they also have a good relationship with the Heaven Hunting Pavilion. Why don't the 5 of you stay here? Are you sure the humans aren't willing to stay? At this moment, invincible figures appeared in the surroundings. No one spoke and they all remained silent. They all looked at the humans and the head of the Sky Division. All of you, stay. There were 4 invincible figures in the human race, and the head of the Sky Division was the only one in the Heaven Hunting Pavilion. As for the other races, there were more than 20 invincible figures. Zhu Tianfang had a strange look in his eyes as he asked, is this appropriate? It's appropriate. On the celestial side, the Thunder God King, who was at Eternal 7 Dan, walked out. Lightning flashed on his body, he said coldly, I think it's very appropriate. The human race has taken advantage of us this time. Be it Blue Sky or Suyu, you all know very well whether or not they are traitors to the human race. They have hunted down countless geniuses from various races. Now, why can't the human race do something? As for how he too came up, I feel that it has something to do with the human race. There was a demon expert, Yuling said, the human race has benefited greatly from framing our race, Madonna, and killing the geniuses of the immortal race. Do you really think that the myriad races are blind? You have to guard this passageway. Even if you don't, you have to. At this moment, all the races had their eyes on the human race. Who asked the human race to suffer the least loss? Moreover, the human race was the public enemy. It was just that they did not have the time to pay attention to them previously. Now, the human race had to pay the price. The 9-leafed heavenly lotus was about to open. All the races could seize it, but the human race could not. One after another, an invincible pressure shook the heavens. Zhu Tianfang smiled and said, what's the point? There's no need to say anything. King Xian, he said calmly, the human race better guard this passageway. Otherwise, the human race will still be at a disadvantage. Then, he said plainly, or, if you humans hand over Su Yu and Lan Tian, then this 9-leafed heavenly lotus can be given to the human race. Zhu Tianfang immediately smiled and said, is that true? It's true. The Thunder God King sneered and said, so what if I let you, the king of the human race, advance to the immortal soul 3rd level? Hand over Su Yu and Lan Tian, the 2 murderers. This time, our celestial race will give up on the 9-leafed heavenly lotus. Qin Jin couldn't help but say, you guys are really capable. Did Su Yu dig up your ancestral grave? He didn't even come. In order to kill him, you even gave up the 9-leafed lotus. You guys are really capable. He didn't know what to say. Suyu is so valuable. So, killing one Suyu, the human race has one more half-emperor of the way is alright? Does this equate Suyu with the half-emperor? Well, think carefully, Suyu that kid, behind half-emperor many, really kill him, break this layer of contact, nothing, ancient city, will not for human and attack. It's the same with the ancient devourer race. These guys are doing this for Suyu. No one cares about Qingjin. Whatever you say. The Thunder God King looked at Zhu Tianfang and Xia Longwu and said calmly, guard this passage, and the bloody case of the human race in the Starry Palace will be written off. Otherwise, we will have to ask whether the various races will agree or not. Xia Longwu looked around and said in a deep voice, the other races also want to go against us. No one replied. The situation was pressing. At this moment, if they did not cooperate with the other races, they would become enemies. The 3 races of gods, demons, and immortals had many invincible experts. Including the hidden blood fire devil king, there were a total of 17 invincible experts. And how many humans were there? The 3 races had reached an agreement, so what was the human race? In fact, at that moment, an immortal expert sent a voice transmission to the experts from the other 2 races. Why don't we just kill these few humans? That way, we won't make any mistakes. Although the undead lacked intelligence, they were not idiots. Once these few fought passively, the undead might give up on them and attack us instead. Killing the 4 invincible humans. The moment his voice faded, Thunder God King sent a message, it's not the humans that we are afraid of, but the other races. With our 3 races joining forces, all the races will feel a fatal crisis and will definitely join forces. Do you really think that they will sit back and watch us kill the humans? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2644, Chapter 2644, Chapter 565, Who's Stupid and Who's Foolish? 2. Chapter 2644, Chapter 565, Who's Stupid and Who's Foolish? 2. Forcing the human race to abdicate was only to allow the human race to resist the undead here. It was not to join forces to kill them. There were also the invincible forces of the dragon, Ming, Fate, Phoenix, 5 elements, and heaven-hunting pavilion present. The 3 races were powerful, so all the races were willing to stand on their side and force the human race to abdicate. However, killing the human race. After killing 4 invincible humans, it would be very easy for the 3 races to join forces to wipe out the invincible forces of the other races. Therefore, the various races were now on their side. If the human race was forced into a crisis, perhaps these races, including the dragon race, might help the human race. This was profit. In this place, there was no distinction between friend and foe. The main thing was the balance of power and not the dominance of a single clan. Otherwise, the others would not be able to live. The key was that the 4 humans were alive. If they died, the 3 races would definitely win. Many people understood this logic. Hence, the various races only forced the humans to guard the passageway. If they could not defend it, they could just run. It was good to have one less opponent. The key was that they could not kill. Not even gods and demons. Whoever killed the humans, they would stand on the side of the humans. Thunder God King's words made the few invincible experts fall silent. Killing was not easy. If they did not kill them, the humans would definitely cause trouble. For a moment, the various races were in a dilemma. At this moment, there were some fluctuations at the entrance to the 7th level. The river map seemed to be coming up again. However, this time, the atmosphere was extremely strange. Previously, even if they were to put on an act, everyone would at least try to stop it. But now, no one moved. The group of people looked towards the human race. Zhu Tianfang smiled and said, "Don't look at us like that. We are not his match. How about this? The 3 celestial races will each send out an eternal. With the Minister of the Sky Division, we can join forces and suppress them with 8 people. Send out people. Send out people to be surrounded and killed by you." Once the others left, given the situation of the human race, it would be strange if they didn't kill those people. Who would want to stay? At this moment, the head of the Sky Division said indifferently, "Since we don't want to defend anymore, we might as well not defend anymore. Why are we wasting time here? As for the 9-leafed Sky Lotus, we'll just have to rely on our own abilities." The group of people looked at each other, and the atmosphere became even weirder. At the same time, Su Yu and the others also saw it and heard it, and their expressions became strange. They weren't guarding anymore. After guarding for a few days, today, these invincible people said they weren't guarding anymore. It was as if everything in front was a joke. What the hell was going on? Some people still hadn't figured it out. As for Su Yu, he had figured it out long ago and didn't care about it. At this moment, he was delighted. Taking advantage of the attention of the Frost God King, he used the Gene word divine text to probe for a while. He seemed to have found a back door. At this moment, Su Yu's word was hiding in a stone vein underground. It wasn't a stone vein, but a manifestation of a golden pattern inside a heavenly weapon. There's something wrong with this golden pattern. This was a decent heavenly weapon. There were a total of 122 golden patterns, and they were all at the middle stage of the heavenly weapon. The 122 golden patterns had all turned into stone veins and were spread across the ground. As for Su Yu, he had been searching the entire time. At this moment, he finally found the problem. Weapon forging masters loved to tamper with the golden patterns. Firstly, it was hard for outsiders to notice. Secondly, once the golden patterns were destroyed, it would cause the entire weapon to collapse. Of course, there was another point. The owner did not dare to touch the golden patterns carelessly. If one touched the golden patterns carelessly and caused the weapon to collapse, that valuable weapon might be destroyed. Vicious. At this moment, Su Yu muttered in his heart. Who forged this? There was a problem with the 109 golden patterns. This golden pattern was very important. It was the dividing point between the heaven and earth weapons. Once this golden pattern was destroyed, the heaven weapon would collapse very quickly. Also, the Frost God King actually refined it simply. Su Yu probed once more, and he could not help but laugh in his heart. He understood what the other party meant. The other party was truly vicious. He was prepared to blow up the weapon, but he had only infused some willpower into it. He did not go deep into the refinement, afraid that the weapon would explode and cause a backlash. It was no wonder that even after Su Yu probed for so long, the other party did not react at all. Su Yu was afraid that he would be discovered, but the other party really did not seem to have discovered anything. So it's waiting here. A heavenly weapon. The other party might have refined it before, but now it actually took the initiative to withdraw its willpower. It was just a simple willpower attachment. It was thinking of exploding at any moment. Interesting. Su Yu quickly probed. Very quickly, on the 109 golden patterns, there was some willpower attached to it. Even so, the other party did not discover it. Previously, Su Yu was still timid and did not dare to do so. Now, he was bolder because he found the frozen Divine King's willpower attached to the ground. Su Yu was very familiar with weapons. He knew where the willpower attached to them could be used to control weapons. The other party was there. With a small amount of willpower attached, he controlled the entire illusion heavenly mirror. Su Yu did not have the mood to care about the outside world. You guys fight. As for the human race, it was not up to him to care about them. How strong they were, how much food they ate. Since the human race dared to enter with 4 unrivaled experts, they were naturally not afraid of being surrounded and killed. Otherwise, they would not have come. Perhaps, the other races who were unrivaled would have the help of the human race. Su Yu did not care about this. He did not believe that without him, the human race would not be able to play. Each and every one of them was extremely sinister. How could they be so easily tricked to death? At this moment, Su Yu was constantly channeling his willpower through the Deen word divine script. He entered it into the 109th golden inscription. He wanted to take down this backup plan. This backup plan was left behind by an unknown heavenly army division. It was now his. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2645, Chapter 2645, Chapter 565 Who is Stupid and Who is Foolish? Asks for a subscription, 3. Chapter 2645, Chapter 565 Who is Stupid and Who is Foolish? Asks for a subscription, 3. Weapon Forging Division was indeed not a good thing. Su Yu cursed in his heart. There were good people in Weapon Forging Division. Old Zhao was actually one of them. The first time he taught Su Yu, he told Su Yu that a true Weapon Forging Division would not leave any trump cards on their weapons. That was a blasphemy against Weapon Forging Division. However, some black-hearted Weapon Forging Division would definitely leave a trump card. At that time, 9 out of 10 Weapon Forging Division members present had dark expressions on their faces. Clearly, this was an unspoken rule in the industry. Old Zhao really did not fit in. And now, Su Yu was using the unspoken rules of the industry. He could only sigh. A good person, really had no way out. I also want to be a good weapon forging master. The key point is, even if there were humans, the weapon forging masters of the Protoss race are not good people. The weapons of the godly monarch are definitely forged by the experts of the Protoss race, they even have a backup plan for the frozen godly monarch. If this was forged for him by an outsider, the entire weapon would probably be filled with sieves, and the frozen divine king wouldn't dare to take it. Underground, that stone vein had some weak undulations. Su Yu quickly observed, judged, and measured. Very quickly, he judged that the willpower he had brought in was enough to blow up this stone vein and destroy this heavenly weapon in an instant. I'll have to check later on if the heavenly weapons I captured had any hidden hands. He made a judgment in his heart and felt a little regretful. The fact that the Frost God King's willpower was only a tiny bit attached to it was a good thing. It was also a bad thing that made it easier for him to move. The explosion of the weapon did not affect him much. However, the Celestials inside. They were one after another, it was already his fate to be able to escape. If the Frost God King's willpower is attached to too many of them, PLL blow up the weapon and cripple him. I'll beat this bastard to death. As these thoughts arose, a loud laughter suddenly sounded from outside. He too, this fool, had come again. And at this moment, he too laughed loudly. This seat is here again. I said that this is my territory. I'll definitely come back. It was incomparably quiet. At this moment, he too suddenly felt a little guilty. What happened? Previously, when he appeared, he was suppressed and beaten up. Of course, he was also having a great time beating up those invincible opponents. He felt a sense of accomplishment as if he had returned to his previous life. But, what was going on now? He had already made preparations to fight a big battle, then lose, and then retreat. But now, unrivaled experts appeared one after another around him. No one spoke, no one made a sound, and no one stopped him. Ha ha ha. He too wanted to use his laughter to attract everyone's attention. Did you guys not notice me? It wasn't to the extent of it. What's wrong? He was a little scared. Yes, he wasn't scared at all when he was being beaten up. But now that everyone was silent, he was a little scared. Haha, it's just a small trick. You guys want to lure me away from the entrance of the passageway? Impossible, I won't fall for it. He too sneered. Under everyone's silent gazes, he suddenly tore open the passageway and escaped, leaving the 7th floor. F***CK. Danger. He too felt that this was the greatest danger. Were these people confident of killing him? Therefore, they lured him out of the passageway one by one, wanting to kill him in one strike. Impossible. He too, will not be fooled. 6th floor. He too grabbed hold of Dummy and quickly said, "Don't go up, it's dangerous. Those guys up there are extremely treacherous. They are scheming against us, luring us out of the passageway, wanting to kill us." Dazedly looked at him in a daze and didn't say anything. He too exhaled and said, "Dangerous, very dangerous. These creatures are indeed crafty. They actually want to lure the enemy in. But he too, will not be fooled. What a joke. I'm not stupid. You guys are just standing nearby and looking at me coldly. Don't I understand what you mean? Humph. He too, will not be fooled. At this moment, the 7th floor is definitely the most dangerous time. I'm not going up now. Swish swish swish. The sound of the wind swept through the world. The invincible ones were all a little stupefied. F***CKU. He too, this idiot, didn't let you come up. You kept on beating him up and let him come up. Instead, King ran down. Are all the undead so stupid? The group of invincible warriors was also extremely tired. It was true. At that moment, they were ready to let he too get up. They wanted to be the troublemakers. However, unexpectedly, he too, ran away. No one hit him. Not even one. They were more than 10,000 meters away from him. They just watched silently. However, he too, that idiot, was scared away. They were so tired. In the heavenly mirror. Cough, cough, cough. The God Clan experts were struck hard. This was nothing. When they were fighting he too kept rushing forward. If they didn't hit him, he wouldn't come up. He would run away. How could they do this? Su Yu was also speechless. He too, that idiot, was really played like a fool. Sure enough, if he died, he would be miserable. When he was alive, he was incomparably tyrannical. When he died, everyone treated him as an idiot and played with him. However, he had really been played with. He too must have known about it. He probably didn't feel good either. He had lost some of his memories. In fact, he was already incomplete. The surroundings fell into a dead silence. Suddenly, someone mocked himself. Once this person died, he regained his memories. He doesn't count as himself anymore. He too, was the main character at the end of the first title change. Now, he has become a clown. He was a little self-deprecatory. As expected, even if he died and regained his memories, he was still a clown. The Terminator of the first title change had now fallen to the level of a clown. For a moment, it made people feel a little sad for no reason. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2646, Chapter 2646, Chapter 565, Who's the Fool? 4. Chapter 2646, Chapter 565, Who's the Fool? 4. We don't want to die. Even if they died, they might not be as good as he too. He too had at least recovered some of his memories, and he still retained the strength of an eternal 7 Dan. If they died, it would be a problem whether they could be revived or not. At this moment, another person said, "Cut the crap. Humans, guard the passage." In the distance, Xian He Immortal King coldly said, "He too, it's fine if you want to bring him up or fight him. It's up to you." King Gong's manor, humans are not allowed to enter. Why? Qin Zhen snorted, "Xian He, who do you think you are? Qin Zhen, do you want to try? Let's try." Although Qin Zhen was inferior to him, he wasn't afraid of him. With a long spear in hand, he shouted, "Why are you acting like a wolf? While I was guarding the border of the human immortals, I specifically killed the people of your immortal race. You immortals are now a bunch of bachelors. That is my contribution. If I remember correctly, I killed more than 3,000 immortals of your immortal race. What can you do to me?" At this moment, some of the gods and demons had a strange look on their faces. A mysterious case had been solved. That's right. In the past few years, there were many female immortals who went missing. In other words, they were all assassinated by this fellow. At this moment, the immortal kings on the immortal side were furious. "How dare you? You killed them?" They really didn't suspect that it was Qin Town. Qin Town was indeed guarding the border a few years ago. However, they were mainly guarding against gods and demons. Since when did this fellow go and assassinate those immortals? The key point was, in the past few years, not many male immortals died. Most of them were female immortals. In fact, the immortals all felt that a pervert or a person who cultivated a demonic cultivation technique had appeared, which was why they specially chose female immortals to kill. In the end, it was Qin Zhen. At this moment, Qin Zhen did not care about this and sneered. He said proudly, "So what if I killed them? I killed 3,000 of your female immortals, and you immortals lost thousands of little bastards. Wait until I kill all your female immortals, then you'll be exterminated." At this moment, Xia Longwu and the others were dumbfounded. "So, this was what you were thinking? No wonder you only killed little fairies. It turned out that you were thinking of exterminating their race." The few of them were speechless. Was this considered a method? Alright, it was considered a method. If you really killed all the fairies of the immortal race, although the strong ones were strong, they might be able to reverse the gender. For a man to give birth to a child, this also required strength and courage. Not everyone could do it. Perhaps only when the sun and moon arrived would there be hope. At that time, the immortal race might really be wiped out. Of course, the prerequisite was that he could really kill all the fairy immortals. This fellow Qin Zhen did not expect that he would actually do so much while he was guarding the border. Xia Longwu could not help but laugh. "You. If you want to kill them, so be it. What do you want to say now?" Qin Zhen sneered. "We have already fallen out. Why should I be afraid of them? I only have one sentence. Today, when the battle starts, no one is to provoke me. I'll capture the immortals and kill them. As for the others, if they provoke me, it won't be worth it to die. Xian He, aren't you an eternal 5 Dan? If you have the ability, come and kill me." He wasn't afraid. At this moment, Qin Zhen was deliberately provoking the immortals and even wanted them to stand by and watch. He chuckled coldly and said, "I've killed thousands of female immortals. Needless to say, the dead little fairies are really beautiful. Xian He, your family probably has female immortals that PvE killed as well. Come and try to kill me." Qin Zhen snorted coldly, his face full of arrogance. Xia Longwu, Zhu Tianfang, and the others all glanced at him. "You're good." Qin Zhen didn't say anything else, but he still knew how to goad people. After all, he was the general who led the army. It could only be said that this guy was stubborn and preferred to use force to solve problems. He had been in the army for many years and had killed countless people. It didn't necessarily mean that he was less than Xia Longwu. It was just that this fellow wasn't as famous as Xia Longwu. Just look at the immortals. So many female immortals had been killed, but they might not have thought that it was Qin Zhen who did it. On the immortal side, the immortal kings all had cold expressions as they held their anger in their hearts. Qin Zhen. Well done, they had underestimated this fellow. After being stirred up by Qin Zhen, the humans stared at the immortals. This made the other races hesitate. Should they make a move? If they did, the immortals would probably be a little hesitant. The humans might really stare at the immortals and fight. The group of people were still hesitating. At that moment, the entrance to the 7th floor rippled once again. He too appeared again. This time, he didn't smile. Instead, he looked around. Suddenly, without a word, he released a large amount of death qi. On the side of Prince Gong's residence, the tremors were endless. It was the blade that was vibrating. The group of people watched silently, speechless. After he too released the death qi, he ran away again. Everyone quietly watched his performance. Sure enough, in less than half an hour, he too came up again. With shifty eyes, he released some more death qi. He shook the saber again and quickly fled back to the 6th floor. Countless experts were watching the huge 7th floor. In the illusory sky mirror, Suyu didn't find it funny. Instead, he felt an inexplicable sense of sorrow. Idiot. He too's intelligence had really deteriorated. Otherwise, he would have known and understood why these people didn't stop him and disperse the aura of death. He should have known this a long time ago. The head of the Sky Division was an Eternal 9 Dan expert. With the help of several Eternal 7 Dan experts and dozens of Eternal 7 Dan experts, wouldn't he be able to kill the two of you? Even now, you still don't know anything. He too was the main character of an era, but now, he was like a clown, making people laugh. Suyu thought silently. Yes, wasn't it also because of this that he looked down on these undead? Even if they were invincible, he wasn't that afraid of them. Including Xingyu. Suyu actually didn't pay much attention to them because she was an idiot. She was easily angered and easily appeased. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2647, Chapter 2647, Chapter 565, Who's the Fool? 5. Chapter 2647, Chapter 565, Who's the Fool? 5. As for me, I still want to die and turn into a dead soul, am I willing to be such? Suyu mocked himself in his heart. Am I willing to be such a clown and be treated as a joke by the bunch of people who didn't take me seriously in the past? I think, PM definitely not willing. Back then, if there was a group of people who survived the first tide, they wouldn't even be fit to carry He2's shoes. But now, they were toying with He2 like he was an idiot. At this moment, Suyu suddenly had a vague idea. That fruit of life and death. If I give this thing to He2 to eat, He2 will regain some of his memories and his intelligence will be higher. If he finds out that these people are toying with him as an idiot, what will he do? With his unruliness and his tyranny, will he just let it go? Suyu laughed in his heart, but very quickly, he rejected this idea. It was not good to be an undead that was too smart. Undead were too smart and could easily make mistakes. It was also good to be a little stupid. The others treated He2 as a fool, but wasn't he the same? As expected, no one was good when they were alive. On the 7th floor, He2 came up again and again. He seemed to be very excited and happy. When Suyu felt that they were stupid, he also felt that the living beings were too stupid. No one actually stopped him. Did they think that he would leave the passage? What a joke. He wouldn't. He would open the undead passage here. He wanted to open the undead passage here and gather the undead lords. Time and time again, he kept appearing, and the time he stayed was getting longer and longer. And near the passage, there was a door that appeared faintly. There was the invincible of the other races. At this moment, after he too left, he said in a low voice, "No one is stopping him. If the passage of the dead souls is really opened, if there are many lords of the dead souls coming out, who will stop them? As for the invincible of the heavenly abyss tribe," he said coldly, "there aren't many. I have already checked, and there are only 9 lords of the dead souls in this passage. 9 lords of the dead souls. Including these 2, there were 11. At this moment, everyone tacitly agreed to the opening of the undead passageway. Because at this moment, someone said faintly, "The undead passageway has moved." Then, will something happen to the origin convergence saber? Once these words were said, the experts were all shocked. Yes, he too had really opened the passageway here. Could the origin convergence saber be taken away? That was a divine weapon. As for the dead souls, so what if the dead souls covered the starry palace? Could they get out? The starry palace was the strongest weapon. It was enough to suppress everything. If they could get the divine weapon, seize the 9-leafed sky lotus, advance to the Deemerge, and have the divine weapon, then, how many people in the universe would be able to fight against them? They could just not come to the starry palace in the future. At the same time, under the undead passageway, the undead lords could already sense something. One of the undead lords said excitedly, "The river map seems to be succeeding. The passageway is moving. Ha ha ha, we're about to leave King Gong's palace and appear somewhere else. That origin returning saber can't use the laws to suppress us anymore." These lords were overjoyed. They were about to succeed. At this moment, a faint voice sounded once again, "Lords, our race is eternal. We are assisting Monarch He Two to open the passage and form an alliance. Our race only needs the 9-leaf sky lotus. If possible, our race wants to take away the origin returning saber. From now on, the starry mansion will belong to you lords." At this moment, a dead spirit smiled and said, "You all want quite a lot of things. Although we don't have any use for them, they are precious treasures. What price will you pay? Isn't helping Monarch He Two enough?" "Not enough." The dead spirit monarch said coldly, "We don't know the situation. Who knows if it was you who helped to complete it?" Then, he transmitted his voice to Xingyu, "Xingyu, the success of the river map. Was it your people who helped or the heavenly abyss race?" Xingyu had said that it was her subordinates who were outside. Xingyu did not stand on ceremony either, she directly sent a voice transmission, "The heavenly abyss tribe is just a lowly person. The reason why he too could come was because my subordinates were secretly helping him outside, including when he too came out. If you don't believe me, you can ask he too if there are any twinkling stars in the place where he appeared. There are 360 big stars. When he was teleported here, he would encounter countless huge pillars of hair. You can ask the heavenly abyss tribe again, what do they?" The monarchs were a little surprised when they heard this. "He too came out because of your subordinates. Then why didn't you?" Xingyue interrupted, "That requires both internal and external forces. It's useless even if I go. I don't have the ability of he too, so I can't move the passage. I can't shake the origin returning knife either. Only he too can do that. But he too came because of me. Do you believe me or not? When you go out, ask he too. You'll know everything." Su Yu had taught her all this. Su Yu could easily guess where he too had come from. From the realm of the dead souls to the special passage, there were 360 maps of the locations of the divine apertures. He too and the others must have come in from there and entered old Zhou's scalp. There was a high probability that there was hair on the giant pillar. Su Yu made a judgment and taught Xingyu how to deceive the dead souls. It was a simple matter. Sure enough, these dead souls were hesitant. Was what Xingyu said true, or was what the heavenly abyss tribe said true? At this moment, Xingyu said again, "My subordinate is now secretly working hard to make the other tribes fear each other and don't dare to make a move. He allowed He too to build the passage. All of this has nothing to do with the Heavenly Abyss tribe. Then, Xingyu said coldly, of course, this tribe wants to use us. We will satisfy them. We will form an alliance and I will write the alliance agreement. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2648, Chapter 2648, Chapter 565, Who's the Fool? 6. Chapter 2648, Chapter 565, Who's the Fool? 6. At this moment, those monarchs all felt that Star Moon was still trustworthy. Nonsense, they were all of the same race. What was the Heavenly Abyss tribe? What they said was not as trustworthy as Star Moon. Okay, how do you want to form an alliance? Star Moon quickly said, first, the Heavenly Abyss tribe has an eternal heavenly curse that communicates with us. This person is also extremely powerful. These two people need to work for us. The equivalent is that we won't take the initiative to kill them. Second, we are willing to help them take the 9-leafed heavenly lotus. However, we need the battle to end. They need to think of a way to come to the Dead Soul realm to take it. It is impossible to hand it over to them on the spot. The deadline is 1 day. If they do not come to take it, then it will be nullified. Third, the Heavenly Abyss tribe cannot attack our Dead Soul tribe. They cannot attack our Dead Soul tribe subjects. Fourthly. Lastly, there is the punishment of the alliance agreement. If one party violates the alliance agreement, the Heavenly Abyss tribe will violate the rules, the river of time will be broken, and the 3 bodies will be separated. If we violate the agreement, the aura of death will spread out, and our memories will be wiped clean, and we will return to the heavenly river of the undead. The 2 Heavenly Abyss tribe members will be branded with the mark of life. We will be branded with the mark of the undead. The human sovereign will bear witness, the parliament will bear witness, and the rules will bear witness. The lords looked at each other. They did not feel that it was inappropriate for the Heavenly Abyss clan. Instead, they felt that it was very inappropriate for them. Then, out of the 9 of us, only 2 of them will be branded with the mark of the dead souls. Aren't we letting them off easy? Xingyu said calmly, we are all dead souls who keep their promises. How can we go against the agreement? We are only restricting the other party. The living beings are sinister. That's true. At this moment, the lords of the dead souls felt that there was no problem. Very soon, they passed the contents of the agreement to Heavenly Curse. In Prince Gong's residence. In the void. Heavenly Curse raised his eyebrows as he carefully thought about the contents of the alliance agreement. In general, the undead monarchs were quite sincere, even though they had quite a few requests. After the battle ends, I'll personally go to the undead realm to retrieve the treasures within a day. This will be a bit difficult. As he thought about this, Heavenly Curse thought that if his clan took it away, it wouldn't be a good day for them. If the undead took it away and brought it back to the undead realm, it wouldn't be a problem. It would save him a lot of trouble. It's just that. It's not easy to take it. This was the only thing that he hesitated about within a day. As for the rest, he didn't have any objections to it. What was it if he didn't harm the other party's subjects? He didn't intend to make a move on the undead either. Of course, he didn't think too much about it at the moment. It wasn't that he didn't think too much about it, but it wasn't worth thinking about. For example, was a half-undead a subject? Others might not say, but at least Su Yu did. Because he was Xingyue's subordinate, the direct descendant type, and Xingyue had personally converted him. Wasn't that enough? However, Heavenly Curse didn't think about this because Su Yu had nothing to do with the dead spirits here. Even if he guessed that Su Yu had come, he didn't think too much. It wasn't like Su Yu could communicate with the dead spirits. Thoughts rose one after another. Very quickly, Heavenly Curse gritted his teeth and agreed. He still had the upper hand. At most, the battle would end. He or that person could follow him into the realm of the dead souls, take the treasures, take refuge for a while, and then leave. However, he still needed to add one more point. Soon, his lips trembled, and his voice was transmitted into the channel of the dead souls. The alliance can be concluded, but there is one more point. The Heavenly Abyss tribe has entered the realm of the dead souls. No one is allowed to harm us. With this additional point, he could rest assured. He wouldn't be killed by these undead. Soon, he received a reply. Sure. At this moment, Tianzui smiled. Then, there wouldn't be any problems. It seemed like the other party wasn't planning to make a move. It made sense. The undead had simple thoughts, so there weren't many twists and turns. Soon, he sent a voice transmission. Then, PLL go to my tribe's eternity and conclude the life seal on the alliance. Very soon, I'll complete the alliance with everyone. He was worried that these dead souls would come out quickly, so he quickly flew in that direction to look for that expert from the Heavenly Abyss clan. He would first take advantage of the fact that they had not come out to conclude the covenant. A moment later, he returned. In his hand, he held a faintly discernible book of darkness. That was the covenant. When he walked to Prince Gong's residence, he did not approach. Instead, his lips trembled. The black book in his hand gradually disappeared, turning into black smoke and instantly disappearing into his hand. At this moment, in the passageway of the dead souls, a dark book appeared in front of Star Moon and the others. The group of dead soul lords were also terrifyingly straightforward. Dark imprints were instantly imprinted on it, and Star Moon imprinted her own dead soul imprint. At this moment, the world shook. A blood-red line ran through the dead soul's world and the starry sky mansion. Without anyone noticing, an alliance agreement appeared in the minds of the 11 experts from both sides. The alliance agreement was successfully concluded. The rules were the witness. Under the circumstances where no one could break the rules, the punishment for violating the alliance agreement would be the punishment of the rules. At this moment, Suyu also received the news. His expression was extremely strange. The other rules of the alliance were easy to explain, but one of them was that one was not allowed to attack the undead race's subjects. He could be considered a subject of Starry Moon, right? This, it was hard to say. It would depend on how the rules determined. Once they determined that they were, then, the two from the Heavenly Abyss race would be finished. If you don't beat me, I will beat you. If you beat me, hurt me, and break the alliance agreement. Hee, the rules and punishments, even Old Turtle couldn't withstand it. Can you too? You're finished. Suyu sneered in his heart. He hoped that the rules were more reliable. I could be considered a subject, but don't make me not count. The Heavenly Abyss race jumped into the fire pit by themselves, and they couldn't even stop it. This wasn't my fault. Suyu was also extremely disgusted with this tribe. Without any other reason, Yi Batian was killed by them. Although Suyu didn't like Yi Batian and didn't know him, it didn't stop him from hating this tribe's fellows. Killing the Heavenly Curse and an invincible member of the Heavenly Abyss tribe seemed pretty good. The key was, it could be used as a backup plan. If I appeared, it was reasonable for this tribe to chase after me. Xingyue could let them chase after me. I ran, they chased, and when they caught up, they wanted to kill me. Then, they died, I ran, and Xingyue and the others snatched the treasure. One line after another, Suyu smoothed it out. At this moment, Suyu let out a sigh of relief. Thank you, Heavenly Abyss tribe. My confidence seems to have increased by a lot. Thank you for your selfless dedication. I hope that this time, all of you can die in peace. Suyu laughed and couldn't help it. At the side, Old Hao looked at him in surprise. Suyu laughed and pointed at the river map. This is too stupid. The undead sovereign is actually so stupid. To think that we were afraid of them before. When he said this, everyone nearby laughed. Yes, it was really stupid. P.S. The foreshadowing is almost done. I'll try to finish it in one day tomorrow. I'm exhausted from writing. Tomorrow, I'll try to finish the 7th story. If I can't finish it, I'll write it the day after tomorrow. I'm all muddled. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2649, Chapter 2649, Chapter 566 Opening of the Channel of the. Chapter 2649, Chapter 566 Opening of the Channel of the. Undead 1. The Silly River map was still expanding the range of the aura of death. There were signs of movement in the channel. At this moment, the entrance was filled with the aura of death. A group of invincible people were watching but did not say anything. Some of them were invincible. They looked at the void and made a judgment. They probably knew how long it would take for the 9-leafed sky lotus to fully bloom. Before it bloomed, the undead spirits would appear and disrupt the situation. This was the best outcome. It's about to open. In the illusory sky mirror, Yu Sheng, Zhan Wushuang, and the others were also looking at the sky. The 9-leafed heavenly lotus was about to open. This was not the only thing that was about to open. There was also the undead passageway. Soon, chaos would arrive. At this moment, even the others had a rough idea. The undead spirits were used by the various races to disrupt the situation. No one present, no race, had absolute confidence in obtaining the 9-leafed heavenly lotus. Thus, the dead souls became the key. It all depended on who the 11 dead souls would deal with and who they would kill. This was because these dead souls would not care about your race or anything else. They would do whatever they liked. In the crowd, the corner of the heavenly abyss race's invincible lips curled up slightly. The dead souls were about to appear. 9. Although he was the only invincible member of the heavenly abyss race, in reality, he was the strongest party at this moment. 9 invincible dead souls in a heavenly curse that could fight invincible. Even the demons were inferior to the heavenly abyss tribe. He looked at the 9-leafed heavenly lotus in the air and felt a little envious. This is mine. At the entrance of the passageway, he too once again released some aura of death. Behind him, a door was faintly formed. One could even see the sovereign of the undead within it. In Prince Gong's residence, the pavilion at the center of the lake and the long saber were still there. However, the passageway of the undead spirits that was originally suppressed by the long saber was gradually disappearing at this moment. The long saber was the rule. As for he too, he shook the long saber and deviated from the gate of the dead souls, causing the gate of the dead souls to change its location. This meant that the dead souls that appeared this time would not care about the rule until the gate of the dead souls returned to its original position and suppressed the passageway of the dead souls again. Ha ha ha. He too laughed loudly. His smile was brilliant, and his black teeth were revealed. He was about to succeed. He looked at the invincible people around him and laughed. He laughed in his heart. Idiot. You want to use me? Although he had lost a lot of his memories and his reaction speed was not as fast as when he was alive, he could understand these people's thoughts now. Do you want to use me as a troublemaker? Fine, I'll fulfill your wish. Am I, he too, that easy to bully? He too muttered in his heart. At this moment, the door of the dead souls around him became even clearer. He could even see the existences of the lords of the dead souls behind the door of the dead souls. At this moment, he could even faintly hear the voices of the lords of the dead souls. Some of the dead souls were shouting at he too, and he too could be considered to have a high IQ among the dead souls. At this moment, he had a smile on his black face as he looked towards the door of the dead souls. When he saw the leader of the dead souls, his face was filled with smiles. Tuafa. He too knew the other party. They had once crossed paths before. Back then, when they were fighting in the heavens, Tuafa had come out to help. Later on, Old Turtle had intervened and suppressed he too. A portion of the dead spirits were killed, and a portion returned to the dead spirits' realm. Now, tens of thousands of years later, he saw the other party once again. The dead spirits' realm was very large. If one wanted to reach here from Hongmeng City, they would still need to cross many regions where the dead spirits' lords were located. As for he too, he had many enemies in the necromancer realm as well. It was very difficult for him to cross over. He had not seen Tuafa for many years. He too looked around Tuafa, and the smile on his face grew wider. The smile on his face was a little stiff. That cloaked necromancer looked a little familiar. Who was that? Had he seen it before? He took a closer look, and vaguely, he had an impression. This Star Moon. Just as he too was shocked, Star Moon's cold voice sounded, "He too, why don't you thank me for appearing freely in the Starry Mansion this time? If it weren't for me opening the star teleportation channel for you guys, if it weren't for me, you wouldn't be so free." He too was slightly startled. What did he mean? Behind the gate of the undead, Tuafa also smiled. He too, I heard from Star Moon that you guys were injured by a huge hairy pillar when you came in. Are you for real? When did you, he too, become so miserable? He too's expression became strange. Xingyue. Harry. Star teleportation. He was a little shocked. To be honest, even he, who had lived for countless years, was the first to know all this. Why? Why did Xingyue know? Xingyue said that she was the one who had teleported here. He too was a little strange. At this moment, Xingyue had not come out, but he too suddenly did not want her to come out. What did she say? Didn't the idiot open the passage by accident? He too instantly fell into deep thought. Xingyue said coldly, "He too, why aren't you talking? Don't you care about friendship?" He too's aura of death spread and soon passed through the gate of the undead. He said strangely, "Xingyue, teleportation, do you know about it?" Of course. Xingyue said indifferently, "I'm an ancient saint and some secrets." What do you, a junior, know? Your ancestor, King Gong, and I were good friends in the past. Let me ask you, is there 360 stars in the teleportation place? He too believed it at this moment. Holy shit. She knew this. Could it be, that she was really the one who activated the teleportation? He too was shocked and said with an aura of death, "Dumbass, did you arrange?" Dumbass? Xingyue was stunned for a moment. She probably knew that he was talking about another undead sovereign, a newly revived undead sovereign that he too had tried to recruit. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2650, Chapter 2650, Chapter 566 Opening of the Undead Channel 2. Chapter 2650, Chapter 566 Opening of the Undead Channel 2. Star Moon quickly said, "Of course, I was the one who secretly helped him revive. I intentionally led you into this place. After all, the Origin Convergence Saber might only be able to shake you out. He too, you won't be angry with me." Before he too could speak, Tuafa and the other undead were no longer puzzled. Tuafa laughed, "He too, don't be angry. It's not important how we got in. What's important is that we can get out soon. These creatures have suppressed us for countless years. In the past, when we fought together, we were suppressed by that old turtle. Now, that old turtle is no longer here. We will kill him and turn the world upside down." At this moment, they all believed that it was really Star Moon who did it. No wonder Star Moon would travel all the way here. He was even faster than the river map. Star Moon was amazing. Tuo Fa and the others were already thinking about who Star Moon was in the ancient times. Some of these dead souls had already forgotten their identities and some had remembered. However, they did not have many memories. Not to mention Star Moon, they also did not know who Star Moon was in the ancient times. Of course, this wasn't important. Since everyone was dead, the identity of the undead was the only one. At this moment, He-Tu's head was a little muddled. I was tricked. As expected, I was wondering why I was teleported here. Star Moon. He-Tu was shocked. Star Moon tricked me. Dumbly was revived by the Star Moon. He was a little confused, but he had no choice but to believe it. This was the first time he knew all of these secrets. For example, the special star teleportation, or the giant hairy pillar. How could someone who had never experienced it know all of this? Obviously, Star Moon might have been teleported here long ago, but she might not be able to contact the other undead, so she had no choice but to choose He-Tu as the one to open it. He-Tu was a little angry. Star Moon, you actually dared to scheme against me. But, forget it, I'll just let it go. After all, I did successfully get out this time, and I still have to thank her for giving me this opportunity. I'm a wise man in the eyes of the dead souls, and I love everyone. I can't say anything resentful. Soon, he too regained his calmness, and the aura of death shook. He sent a voice transmission, "Thank you, Star Moon Sovereign, for your help. Of course, it's all for the dead souls." Star Moon looked indifferent, but she felt strange in her heart. I lied. I even deceived he too and all the dead souls. Moreover, he too had to thank me for lying to him. So, this was a lie. Suyu had always liked to lie to people. He lied to this and that. He lied to a lot of good things, and he lied to a lot of enemies. So, this was what it felt like. If you lied to people, they would thank you. This was a lie. Xingyue's heart was filled with endless emotions. At this moment, the dead souls lords around her no longer had any doubts. One of them joked, "Xingyue, when can we enter the dead souls realm freely? How many times can we have fun?" Xingyue calmly said, "The next tidal wave. That astral teleportation will activate at the same time as the opening of the living world's mansions. Then next time, you have to call for us." "Of course." Xingyue calmly said, "After this, we can go take a look at the place. He too knows where it is. Even if I don't go, he too can bring you there. I don't know where it is, so of course he too will take me there." He too heard her words and smiled, next time, I will take you there." But in his heart, he thought, no way. He couldn't tell them about the star teleportation. This was a secret place. It was a teleportation channel for living beings and dead souls. It was not restricted by the rules. Xingyu, this idiot, actually spread the information about this place at will. As expected, Star Moon was an idiot. Fortunately, he was the one who knew about this place. He would have to trick Star Moon or get rid of him. How could this precious place be leaked at will? Otherwise, if too many dead souls were teleported, it would attract the attention of some old antiques. What if the passage was sealed again? He too thought a lot. He even thought of killing the dead souls to silence them. Of course, he wouldn't say anything now. The undead were communicating. As for the unrivaled experts, some of them wanted to leave. There was no need for them to stay here and watch the undead passageway open. If they had to leave, they would. Some of them even had thoughts of moving the undead passageway. What about the origin convergent saber? At this moment, some of the unrivaled experts secretly flew away. However, the experts from the major clans weren't in a hurry. All of them had indifferent expressions, including the head of the Sky Division. Divine weapons were good things, and everyone wanted them. However, whoever tried to snatch them now would be courting death. The river map had only shifted a little, but that didn't mean that the origin convergence saber would become a random object. Whoever tried to move would be courting death. Just as he was thinking, a saber chime suddenly sounded in the sky, and a saber light appeared. Whine. In the sky above Prince Gong's residence, it was as if the world had been cut in half. In the next second, a figure appeared in the air. Someone saw it and recognized it. He sneered, "Idiot." It was a quasi-invincible person from the Dark Clan. Obviously, this person had sneaked in and wanted to take the origin returning saber. However, he didn't even check if he was qualified or not. He didn't even go to invincible, but you went. Do you think you are stronger than invincible? Poochie. The saber light flashed and instantly cut the opponent into two halves. The corpse fell into the water with a bang and fell into the lotus pond. And the nine-leafed heavenly lotus seemed to bloom even faster at this moment. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2651, Chapter 2651, Chapter 566 Opening of the Undead Channel 3. Chapter 2651, Chapter 566 Opening of the Undead Channel 3. Not only that, suddenly, someone had a strange look in his eyes. There were a total of 999-leafed sky lotuses in the lotus pond. This time, it was the 9th lotus that had opened. The first 8 lotuses had yet to open. However, as the quasi-invincible corpse fell, the lotus pond instantly turned into a pool of blood. In the blink of an eye, the color of blood disappeared. Other than the quasi-invincible corpse, nothing seemed to have happened in the lotus pond. However, the other 8 lotuses seemed to have grown a little. At this moment, someone said with a faint smile, "It seems that the 9-leafed sky lotuses are lacking some nutrients. Let's see, if one dies and is buried in it, some will be activated. If everyone here is buried in it, perhaps another 9-leafed sky lotus can bloom." When these words were said, many people felt their hearts turn cold. This 9-leafed sky lotus was also somewhat demonic. It actually absorbed the nutrients from the corpse to grow. Few people knew about this. Perhaps it was because it had been too long since the 9-leafed sky lotus bloomed. After all, it had not bloomed for many years. Now, very few people knew about this. At this moment, some people had completely given up. The origin convergence saber could not be touched. The person just now had only touched it slightly, but it had actually been chopped off. One of the quasi-invincible experts did not even have the time to release his 3 incarnations before he was chopped off. There was not even a splash. There was really no splash, the corpse fell into the pond and was gone. And this was also the 4th quasi-invincible expert that had died in the starry manner this time. Su Yu and the others had killed 2, Lan Tian had killed 1, and now, the 4th had died. An existence that ran amok in the outside world had been killed by an ownerless blade. At this moment, Qin Zhen was also shocked. He looked at Xia Longwu and said, "Can you take away the blade that you use?" Xia Longwu glanced at him, not wanting to answer. Zhu Tianfang smiled and said, "Don't think about it. It's too difficult. Of course, it's not impossible. The purpose of the returning origin blade is to suppress the undead passageway. Once the undead passageway doesn't exist, it can be used as it pleases. It was only a passage moving now, but it still existed. Therefore, it was not easy to get the returning origin saber away. Perhaps a half-emperor could suppress this thing and take it away directly. Can a half-emperor be taken away? There should be hope. Then the outside world. Qin Zhen wanted to ask again, but Xia Longwu interrupted him, "Well, half-emperors don't dare to come in." Which half-emperor dares to come in? If they die, it's over. Look, it has been opened so many times. Which half-emperor has ever come in? That was true. Qin Zhen nodded, then looked at the channel of the dead souls, and he too, who no one cared about, and sent a voice transmission, "We don't care about the dead souls anymore. What do we care? Find an opportunity and leave together." As Xia Longwu spoke, he looked at Zhu Tianfang and said, "We have to leave, or else we'll be attacked from both sides. There are dead souls in front, and there are those unkind fellows behind us. Let's retreat before the channel opens." Zhu Tianfang nodded his head indiscernibly and looked around. Very quickly, he transmitted his voice to the others and said, "In a while, the moment the passage of the dead souls opens, attack the Dragon Clan's side. Those two fellows don't dare to stay for long and will retreat soon. They will retreat together with them and regroup with Prince Gong's manor. The nine-leaf sky lotus is about to open, but don't snatch it first. Whoever snatches it first will be the target of public criticism. Snatch it first. If there's a chance of snatching it away, he'll run away immediately, but there's not much hope." There were pros and cons to snatching the nine-leafed heavenly lotus first. The disadvantage was that once the person who snatched it first was done for, destroying the nine-leafed heavenly lotus would be the end of him. They were really negotiating when suddenly, boom! A loud sound reverberated throughout the entire 7th floor. At this moment, he too laughed maniacally. Behind him, a door had officially taken shape, and it was still slowly opening. At this moment, a saber chime resounded through the world, but it only trembled and did not attack. This was because the origin convergence blade was suppressing the path of the undead, not a single undead, nor a few of them. The path of the undead itself was still with the origin convergence blade, but the door had deviated. At this moment, the head of the Sky Division took a look and said, "If he too does not continue to open the door of the undead will soon return to its original position. Sooner or later, these guys will return to their original position and be restricted by the rules." On the other side, he too laughed and said, "That's enough. This door can be opened for at least 9 days. It's enough for us to kill all of you. A bunch of arrogant guys, I'll let you know what it means to burn yourselves to the ground." These guys actually allowed them to come out. They were courting death. Rumble. The door was opening. The sky was falling and the earth was cracking. The lords of the dead souls were also roaring crazily. They were coming out. They were coming out without any restrictions. At this moment, the 4 unrivaled experts from the human race charged towards the dragon race. The light from their sabers shook the heavens and earth. The 2 dragon kings glanced at them and quickly retreated without a word. Just as Zhu Tianfang had said, with the appearance of the dead souls, the dragon race wasn't in the mood to fight with the human race. There was no need for that. At this moment, the water was muddled. In the blink of an eye, the 6 invincible figures disappeared from where they were. On the side of Prince Gong's residence, the quasi-invincible figures also quickly left their original spots and found their own places to hide and escape. In the void, the 9-leaf heavenly lotus was about to bloom its 9th petal. It might have absorbed a quasi-invincible figure and bloomed. Its speed was much faster than expected. On Su Yu's side, the frozen godly monarch did not stay any longer. He quickly retreated with the other godly monarchs. On the celestial race's side, the Thunder God King was the leader. At this moment, the Thunder God King quickly said, "Find an opportunity to kill the opponent. Pester the others and don't give them any chance. Don't provoke those dead souls. Let the dead souls act as the vanguard.